What up? What up? What up? This Ibn Webb, Ib Webb, Quran or some another official thing situation going down here. Doing the Essex County all day edition here. There's people that I've met in my travels, people that I've never met but heard about, in regards to their story, to their life, or what have you here. And this gentleman, he's one of them, Kelvin Robinson, nicknamed Meat. When I heard just kind of, what he went through to get to where he's at, athletically or what have you here, I think his journey was real cool, different from your everyday typical journey of, a basketball athlete here, so just looking forward to actually meeting him, learn a little bit about him here. We're just gonna get to it. Hold tight. Nah, cool. What's up, man? Nice to meet you. Ibn here.
Same here, man. Nice to meet you as well.
Nah, I appreciate this, man. Just taking time out, man. I know everybody ripping and running and everything, man. First, foremost, hopefully you, your family, and those around you, remember, are safe and well, man. I know with these crazy times here.
Yeah, everybody's good, man. And same to you, man. I thank you, man. I appreciate you just to have the interest, man, and what you're doing just to shine a light on the community is much appreciated.
Yeah. I mean, something that just started off and it still is, man. Just something fun to do, like I shared with you and everybody else, man. Like this has just been a blast, man. Just whether it's been family or people I know or learned about or heard about, or people that I'd never met, such as yourself here. Like I said, it's just been a blast, man. So just kind of taking the baton and just running with it, man. Like I said, just enjoying it, man. Like I said, with all this craziness going on, it's nice to have just like a little release, a respite from the world a little bit for a little bit.
No, absolutely, man. And like, yeah, I've been watching the joints, like you said, man, and just to see like the people that you're getting on trips down memory lane and things like that, man. No, it's awesome, man. So you're doing a great job.
Nah, thank you. And even with that being said, man, with this memory lane here, man, you're a Newark guy, huh?
Yeah. Born and raised in Newark, man. Born in Beth Israel Hospital.
That's like the typical hospital. A lot of it. Like I said, I was born there too. So like I said,
man. I saw Luke Grinsley. He said he was born there too. Like you said, man.
There's a few of them. Yeah, it's a few of us. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, born and raised in Newark, man. I was in Newark my whole life until basketball opened some doors for me, to be honest. It was even Newark or down South Carolina or Georgia with my grandparents, in the summertime. That was it. That's all I knew.
Yeah. And I know, and them summer trips, they good for the summer, but year round and kind of living down there, especially being in the city, it's a little different. Some people can adapt, some people can't. So you chose to stay up this way up top here.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it was good for the summer because I had a lot of cousins, man, in Newark and stuff, and we would all go down and visit our grandparents, and then we would come back up together, So that was like, I couldn't take much more than a couple of weeks,
Yeah, nah, I hear you, man. Well, what part of Newark you from?
I'm from Avon Avenue, man. I went to Avon Avenue school. I at a younger age, man. I lived on Hillside Avenue, over there by not far off of 78, by Johnson and all that. I went to with Bessie Smith kindergarten, then I went to Belmont Runyon for a while. Yeah. And then we moved up to Avon Avenue, like Tracy, Avon and Tracy. So that's why, that's where my roots and everything. I spent most of my life, my formative years there.
Yeah, how's your childhood, man? I know we all think our childhood is probably normal, but typical stuff. I mean,
typical stuff, like you said, man. Now that I look back on it, I realize it wasn't normal. I remember, man. I'll never forget Lance Jackson. A lot of these guys, they're good friends of mine, man. And I remember we went one night when Menace to Society first came out, and when we saw that joint, it was like we could actually relate to it. Yeah. It was like, and that was normal for us back then. And then once I got out and started traveling and stuff, I realized like, we really grew up in a crazy environment, but it was just normal to us, man. But like everything that any other Newark guy can tell you, man, from shootings and seeing people robbed and being involved in stuff. Luckily, man, I never got into that stuff. I never got into drugs and all that type. It just wasn't my thing. So I was like, I could see it from afar, and I never really got caught up into anything. But I seen some crazy stuff, man. I was actually thinking about this today about the interview, and I was thinking, man, like how far I came through life and things. Yeah. And I was like, one of the highlights of my childhood I was thinking about today was like when they had free lunch and we had pastrami sandwiches. We had the pastrami for free lunch. So that was like, we was good, man. We was eating good, man. So I grew up, man, wearing my father's sneakers and all that type of stuff, man, hand-me-down clothes. you name it, man. I grew up that typical, childhood that you hear from people from the hood, man. I grew up that way, and I loved it, man. The people, and even to this day, the people that I met, the memories that I made, and stuff like that. It sounds strange, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Man, I definitely hear you. I totally hear you in regards to that. It makes us who we are, man. When it's all said and done, definitely makes us who we are.
Yeah,
Not,
absolutely.
not even with the with activities, whether it was sports or even other different activities as a kid. Like, what was a draw to you as far as what you like or didn't like or just kind of got into?
The crazy thing is, man, I always like to fix things. So my father was like one of those guys that could fix anything, man. I'm always like following around him, helping him fix cars. And I remember one day we had like for a week, we had a transmission in our kitchen. My father took the transmission out. We built the transmission right on the kitchen floor. My mother yelling at us and all that, So I did all that type of stuff, man. And then probably around 7th, 8th grade, I started playing basketball just with my friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I got that bug, my father was from down south, so we do a lot of fishing when I was younger. We would go fishing and stuff like that. My father would take all the kids from the neighborhood fishing with us, and like he was like, we were one of those type of dudes, man. So, but then around 7th, 8th grade, I got into basketball, just playing the Avon Avenue playground. Like before school, we would go and play ball and all that type of stuff. And that's when I really got the bug for basketball. Like I started to see that it was something that I enjoyed doing, and it was mostly because my friends were doing it. And I'm one of those dudes that just like to talk trash, and I just like to talk, man. I was wanting to do it just to be competitive with my boys and, have bragging rights and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, man, it was just like, it was a long winding road, but it led me a long way, man, because actually we had started playing basketball like 7th, 8th grade, like I said, like on just literally like just on the streets, nothing serious, organized team or nothing, just Avon Avenue. And then this guy, one of the guys on our block on Tracy, he organized like a little team, and we was playing like in the IYO league. Mm-hmm. We would go up there playing a little league in the IYO, and he was teaching us basketball, like trying to actually saw that we liked it. And he was trying to teach us some skills and stuff. And I was actually starting to really take to it. And I never forget, man, the first week that we had organized basketball that I ever played, and this is just like in somebody's backyard on Tracy, the dude is like teaching us stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing I got my father's sneakers on, man. I'm like, they're too big. I'm slipping and sliding across the court and stuff. But I won like he gave me like the MVP for like hardest worker of the week, And that's when I really understood, man. Like if you work hard, you can get something out of this game. And I did that. And then we did this for like a month. The guy started training us. I was playing in the IYO league.
Mm-hmm.
And we were supposed to start. I'll never forget, we had our first game on a Saturday. And like I said, man, I always like to fix stuff. I wanted to be an engineer. And I started making something in my father had like a lot of electrical saws and all that, circular saws and stuff. And I started making something in my backyard, a hockey board. You know the hockey boards that we have in Newark, the little wooden pucks, and you like slide the thing, had a little block on it.
Oh yeah.
I started making one of those in my backyard, man. It almost cut my hand off, And like, yo, I don't know if you could see it, man. Like I almost cut my hand off. My whole hand was like, man, devastated, man. I had to have multiple surgeries. So this was the summer going from 8th grade to 9th grade. I did that. And I like when high school started, I went to Shabazz, but I started my first couple months. I was in the hospital, in and out of the hospital. I didn't go to school. I had a tutor and all that because I had to have multiple surgeries and stuff like that. And that was when my basketball career was just starting, and I thought it was over, because I couldn't play ball for probably about a year and a half. And I just, after I did, was able to go to school, probably like 3 months into the school year, the tutor left and I was able to go to school. And I just went downtown Newark and got a job. So, and I just worked like I never played basketball in high school, never played any AAU, none of that stuff. Yeah. But it all was because what I did with my hands to start off, and I started working, making some money and stuff. And then, things just led one way to another. And I never really, like, basketball was just one of those things that I did like for fun, for recreation on the weekends, or like after work with my boys, just to talk trash, man.
Yeah, even the situation with your hand, do you think that was something that held you back just from giving it a shot back then, like with the surgeries, or just the time away? You just kind of was like, you know what, all that practice and hard work, I'll just play with my boys,
Yeah, because at the time I couldn't really do anything. Like I couldn't even make a fist. Like they told me that I would never make a fist again. I had to do a lot of rehab and stuff. So it was like, At that young age, I didn't grow up like I want to be a basketball player. You know, like it
Okay.
was like, man, I just something I was doing for fun and like with my boys, like I said. And then when that accident happened, it was just, all right, man, you know, I just figured something else out, you know, and I didn't even really think twice about it. My life just went on.
Yeah.
And then it's just how life goes full circle. A few years later, basketball, you know, just from being on the streets and playing basketball really came back to the forefront.
And how did that come to the forefront as far as, again, like you say, you just playing with your boys just to be playing? Like, how all this come about here?
So probably in 11th grade or something, I had a growth spurt. So I went from probably maybe about 5'10" to maybe, and this was like summer from 11th grade to 12th grade. I went from 5'10" to probably about 6'4" in one summer. And then from there, I was playing basketball, but now, man, I was always athletic, but now I could do some other things because I was much bigger. And you know,
oh yeah,
you know, so now I'm dunking on people and I'm like, a lot of stuff is coming. I'm like, and I always had that work ethic. I'm working hard, but I'm like crazy athletic. And then from there, people just started recognizing like, oh, why you not playing this? People kept asking me like, why you don't play for Shabazz? Like you go to the school, why you don't play? And or people saw me play, where do you play at? And I just kept getting these questions all the time. But at the time, in 12th grade, I mean in the 9th grade, when I cut my hand, I went downtown Newark one day. Like I'll never forget, man. In school, I'm sitting in English class. And like I said, like I was at Avon Avenue Elementary. I'm wearing my father's hand-me-downs, my brother's clothes and stuff. It didn't really bother me, but that shit bad, you know, like, man, it was like, yo, I can't be coming to school like this, you know? So I didn't want to hustle or nothing because I just knew that wasn't me. Okay. So I started, I never forget, man, one day I remember I was in school in class and I was like, yo, I'm going to get on this bus at 13. Like when I leave school, I'm getting on the 13. I'm not coming back home until I have a job. I will not get back on the bus until I find a job. And then I just kept walking around downtown Newark, knocking on people's doors at the stores. Like I went to all the like sneaker stores and stuff, Universal, all them places, asking people. I'm like only like probably 13 years old, asking people for a job. And this dude that owned the health food store, it was in the Prudential Mall. Downstairs in the Prudential building, had a little mall. And there was like a sporting goods and health food store. And this guy, Jewish guy, gave me a job like sweeping the floors and stuff. So to bring the story back around, I did that from 9th grade into 12th grade. You know, and so after that, and then once I started getting grew and everything and playing ball, now I was managing the store by the time I graduated from high school. I'm making like this back in the late 80s. I'm like bringing home $600 a week, you know, like cash money. And I'm like, man, I'm in high school. I'm living with my parents. And they were like, I'm not playing no basketball. I'm not trying to leave this for like to play basketball now. I'm wearing the new kicks. You know,
you fresh.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, man, I just like really like started getting into basketball more, like on the streets, playing in summer leagues, like down the hole and all that type of stuff. Branchbrook Park, down the hole, because people saw my talent, and they was like, at least in summer leagues, you got to play with us in these leagues and stuff. And then graduated from high school. I worked at the store full time now. And then one day, this guy that my sister was dating at the time, this dude named Hank Reeves, who had played at Essex County College.
Okay.
He was like, yo, you too good. He was like, no, I got to take you somewhere. Like, yo, you can't just, I was just working. Like I was working for a full year out of high school. I'm like a year removed from school. And he was like, you got to do something with your basketball because you're too good. And everybody was telling me. So he was like, I'm going to introduce you to this coach, Coach Hill at Essex County, who I played for. I already told him about you. He said, if he like you, man, he'll give you a shot. So this is like one day. And like I said, I worked downtown at Prudential building. Yeah. So it was right down the hill from Essex County. So Coach Hill was like, before you go to work, man, come here. I'll work you out. If I like what I see, I give you a shot to make the team next year. This was like early beginning of the summer. And me and one of my best friends at the time, my man, Travis Risby, God rest the dead, was my best friend ever, man. And we went together because Travis was nice too. And then Coach Hill worked this out, and he was like, yo, y'all can play, but y'all don't know how to play. He was like, yo, you got talent, you know, you running and jumping high and, you know, doing this and that. But he's like, you have no clue how to play basketball because neither one of us had ever played in an organized game. And I'm talking about no AAU, no nothing, man, no YMCA, nothing, none of that. So he was like, I make y'all a deal. Because at this time, we were both working together at the store. It's like, come here every morning before you go to work. Meet me like 7 o'clock. We started work at 9. Like meet me like 7, work out, and then go to work from here. And if you progress over the summer, I give you a shot to make the team when when school start. And I went every day religiously, man. It just worked out with Coach Hill. And that's probably one of the best things ever happened to me, man. By the time I really got to like playing organized basketball, I knew the game of basketball because I learned from one of the best.
Absolutely. Just to back up a tad bit, just even with the high school piece, like Coach Grimsley didn't like seek you out or
Nah, because
anything,
at the
or catch you in the
time,
hallways or something.
it's funny, man, because Lou is my man now, man. And it's like I'm like a real big part of the basketball community now, but it was like I was a late bloomer. And at the time they had a squad. Like that's when Eric Williams was there.
Eric was there.
They had Dutney, man. They had my man Tut. Like they had a squad. They was like a state championship type level team.
Yeah.
So they wasn't really looking for nobody. It wasn't like, they were hurting. You know what I'm saying? So, and at the time, I was just like one of the street basketball dudes. And you get a million of them in Newark, So Lou didn't really know me. And then I really wasn't trying to make myself known. So it just went like that until like years later when Lou started about a year and a half after I graduated from high school. Lou started running a recreational program in Avon Avenue, the summer program. Lou was like the director of the program. So we would always play and all that. And then me and Lou became real good friends, man, at, doing that. And it's a funny story that my man Cleon told me. Cleon was, his father was talking to Lou. Coach Hill was talking to Lou one day. And they were talking about all the good basketball players that came out of Shabazz. And then Coach Hill was like, they was naming players like Eric Williams, all the guys that Lou had coached, like Mike Jackson, Avant, all these guys, Dutney, Al Ray. And Lou was like, yo, Kelvin Robinson. Coach Hill was like, oh no, you can't take credit for that one.
He tried to take credit.
Coach Hill was yo, that's all me. No, I tore him. Like, yo, so that's just a funny story. Cleon told me that a couple months ago, man. I was rolling.
Yeah. Crazy as far as speaking, Mr. Hill here, God bless. Did you know who he was when you first went down to run around and try out for him? Did you have any inkling as far as who he was and all the things he accomplished?
Not at all, because to be honest with you, man, I didn't know anything about basketball. About all I knew was I used to see Avant walking through the halls with like mink coats on. I knew who Avant was because people don't realize how much of a big deal Avant was in high school. It's like, man, they were doing interviews on him, coming out to the school, interviewing him for like news reports and stuff. So I knew who Avant was. I knew who Eric Williams and them. The dudes like my contemporaries, guys that I were around, I played with, I knew that. But as far as history of basketball and stuff, it's just like I wasn't in that world, I wasn't in that world at all. So when I met Coach Hill, I never could dream that I would meet somebody that would have such an impact on my life and would be such a unique person. I've never met anybody in my life like Coach Hill. And no matter where I go around the world, people know this dude, man. Like when you say basketball in Newark, people, short story, man. I went to the University of Buffalo after Essex. We'll get back to the whole story, but I'm at the University of Buffalo one day and we had a recruit from California. And he came in with his father, a point guard, I think it's the guy's name. And they asked me and my roommate to host the dude for the weekend when he was there. So we hosted the dude and his father's there. And we start talking. And I tell the dude, I went to Essex County. I played for Cleo. He was like, Cleo Hill? I'm like, yeah. He was like, yo, this is a dude from Cali. Yes. Like, yo, you know how we used to practice the Cleo Hill spin move? He was like, and this is like Oakland or something. He's like, you know how we used to practice a spin move? I'm like, nah, tell me how you used to practice the Cleo Hill spin. He said, you go in the middle of the street and then you dribble towards an oncoming car. And he said, if you got hit, you don't got the Cleo Hill spin move. It was like, when you can do that without getting hit by the car, you fast enough. He was like, that's how fast Mr. Hill was. So.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. And like you said, just for him to be all over the world and these dudes from out west talking about, Mr. Hill, that's crazy.
Yeah. But like, I had no idea who he was, man. But like I said, if I would have went anywhere else besides Essex, I know for a fact I wouldn't have learned so much in a 2-year span where I was ready to go to the Division I level and stuff. And like, even when I got to Division I, I knew basketball better than probably 85% of the other dudes that's been playing their whole life, man, because the stuff that he taught us.
And I'm just how you just sharing all this, but you said you go back to summer every day, 7 o'clock to put in that work. You just like, sound like a light bulb just went off. Like, let me do this. Again, you 17, 18 years old. You don't know that till later. kind of that light bulb went off. But it was just interesting, like you said, you just went back, and then by the end of the summer, Mr. Hill, when he was just like, I think you could try out for the team, kind of thing.
Yeah, Mr. Hill. I don't know how well you know him, but he never told you like he was on the team, like never. He always trying out. Like it'll be the end of the year, like it's the last game of the season. He's yelling at jokers that starting, you still trying to make this team, like so. End of the summer come. And he was like, all right, school is starting. He was like, you did enough. He was just told me, like, you came every day. He never gave an inkling on, like, you got better or nothing. He was like, you came every day. You kept your bargain. I'm going to keep my bargain. I get you in school. And he's like, I might help you. With some financial aid or something. He never committed to anything. He was like, we get you in school, then we'll have to try out. We'll see what happens. And then, so the first day we had tryouts, this one I knew, man, I was at the right spot. And I knew Mr. Hill was going to be the right coach for me. First day we had tryouts. We had Essex, man. It's like dudes that's like invited, like myself and other guys. It's dudes that's on a team that's been recruited. Like we had guys from last year's there. Derek Johnson was there. My man Sean Harvey was a guy from Philly. That's one of the best dudes ever played with. He was there. We had 40, 50 people there. First thing Mr. Hill do a lot of stuff on the baseline, and he says, I'm feeling like, even before the practice starts, I'm already feeling self-conscious because I know I have the least basketball experience than everybody. I never played in high. I'm the only dude that had this background. But Mr. Hill lines us up the first day on the baseline. He says, how many dudes played high school? No, AAU basketball? Guys raised their hand. How many dudes played this? How many guys played that? How many guys played JV? Guys raised their hand. How many guys played varsity? How many guys played 1 year of varsity, 2 years of varsity? Like, I'm the only one who never puts my hand up. How many guys won a county championship? How many guys won a state championship? And we got dudes from Elizabeth on our team that played with Luther. We got like all types. Yeah. So everybody got their hand up, and I'm feeling in the corner, like trying to act like, let's hope nobody don't see me. Like I'm like cowering. Mr. Hill said to those jokers, it won't help you here. He was like, everything starts new. I don't want to even see you wearing your high school jackets or shirts or nothing. Everybody starts from a level playing field. And right there, I knew I was at the right spot, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Then even just to get going down there, as far as the competition and just like how was it? Because again, you got the who's, but it's another level. This ain't high school no more. So like, and obviously who you got at the helm here know the game inside and out. So it's just kind of like, how do you just get going?
The thing that really helped me, and this is like, no matter where I went, and I really didn't realize this until years later. No matter what basketball court I've ever been on, I've always been one of the most athletic dudes on the court.
Okay.
And I played with like multiple, like I played with all types of NBA players, NBA All-Stars, and I've always been one of them. So at Essex County, I didn't know how to play basketball, but I knew I could jump and faster, I could jump higher or run faster. And I was stronger than most of these guys. Like, and that type of stuff in a game like basketball, especially at the junior college level, if you could run fast and jump over somebody, man, you could play. You could find a spot for yourself, So that's what really gave me my confidence, because I would do something in practice that I knew nobody else couldn't do. Like, it'll be a certain dunks. And the only dude that I used to go back and forth with, and me and him, he always tell me like he think that I jump higher than him, and I always tell him, there's a dude, Sean Harvey, that played with us. That from Philly, from West Philly. He actually went to Essex County for 1 year, and he went to West Virginia State, I believe it was, and he got drafted by the Dallas Mavericks. When I say this dude could play 6'5", 6'6", he could do everything. And it's like, man, when me and Sean was like, when I earned his respect, and I could see like, I couldn't, like, I give you a story, man. One day, this was like one of our first practices. It's like, I'm embarrassed, but it's like funny. We running like the flex offense. And you got to realize I'm from Avon Avenue playground.
That damn flex, I know exactly.
I'm from Avon Avenue playground. I never ran no offense. You just try to run past somebody. We running the flex, and then I got the ball at the top of the key. I'm supposed to swing it to the other side of the key, and these two dudes trap me. And the way I'm thinking, man, I'm like I said, I'm embarrassed to say it now. I'm like, I got to get the ball to my man, and I couldn't pass it, so I just bowled the ball to him like I was bowling. Mr. Hill stopped the practice, cursed me out. Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, do you see this idiot? But in my mind, it was just like, the object is getting him the ball. Like nobody didn't steal it.
Yeah.
So that just tells you how I had no clue about what to do organized basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple plays later, I dunk on somebody, then I feel better about myself, you know? So that's how I went for like my first year. Mm-hmm. And actually my first year, probably the first 3 or 4 games I actually started. Like I played well enough to start, but in the games, I just didn't have the acumen. So I got out of the starting rotation very early in the season, but I got some minutes. But just being there around that, like Derek Johnson, Sean Harvey, my man's from Hakeem Salim from Newark, like a lot of guys. Tut was with us, like practicing. Darryl Tutler from Shabazz was with us, you know, practicing and stuff. And we had like we had some good players, and just being around them, being around those guys, and really realizing that I could fit in. Like it was I just had to learn the game, but those guys wasn't like, you know, better than me.
Yes.
Like I knew I fit in, and that spurred me on to want to keep working hard and learning more and doing more. And that's what kept me going, man.
Interesting. Like, what are your parents having to say about this? Not only the basketball piece, but you in college. Even though it was, you know, you were home, but you were still getting educated. You was getting all kind of educations. To be honest.
Yeah.
Like, what was your point? Yeah, what was your parents saying about all this?
Like I said, my parents are from down south, man. Like just hard working, man. As long as you're not staying in trouble. And I come from like, my brother was the total opposite than me.
Okay.
I'm talking about selling drugs, man. My house was one. I think I told you, I'm working since 9th to 12th grade. I would get home from work. I would go from Shabazz downtown New York, work at the store till about 7 o'clock when we locked the store up. Get home like 8 o'clock at night from 9th grade until I went to Essex. Mm-hmm. One day I come home from school and my brother was like a big drug dealer, working with all these dudes in Newark. I won't name no names, but come home from school one day. My house is surrounded by the cops, like you see on TV, like, you know, like CSI or something. Taped off, roped off. I'm standing across the street like I don't live there. Like they bringing my mother out, they bringing everybody out because they raided our house. So I was the good dude, you know what I'm saying? So as long as I was not getting in trouble and stuff, my father, I went to Essex County. I think my father and my mother might have came to one game. Mm-hmm. I went to Buffalo. They might have came to 1 or 2 games. It wasn't like those parents that wanted you to play back. They just was like, man, as long as you, I was on a path to get a good job and stay out of trouble. Mm-hmm. And they were so worried about putting food on the table and working hard, man. You know, that's what their main focus. But I really appreciated that because it didn't put no pressure on me. It wasn't like, yo, you got to do this. But, you know, so that was their approach.
No, interesting. And like you said, two sides of the coin here. You're doing this, and obviously your brother had his thing going on. So, and again, parents know their kids. You know,
exactly.
They know their kids, and kind of like the back off, as you mentioned, you kind of let you do your thing, and you get going. As far as even with that question, I think you answered it though. But as far as once you started playing ball, that was it with the job.
Nah, actually, because it was so close, like the dude, man, the guy was a Jewish guy. He was from Brooklyn.
Okay.
He was very nice. And like this dude was so close, like I could go, like if we had a weekend off. At this time, you got to see, I was there. This is like, I'm like 5 years in at the job at this point by the time I start playing at Essex. So I was an integral part. I had already hired the other staff. So if I had like days off or if I had the weekends or something, I could always go back. I was always welcome to come back, and like I would always find a way to get down there. Even if we had classes, I get out of class early or something, I could go put a few hours in, walk downtown. Mm-hmm. So I was always stay very connected with him and with the job.
And I know you had to maintain your fresh too. So you had to maintain. Yeah.
The best thing about that job was he owned the health food store. His best friend owned Universal. So the dude that owned Universal, we had to deal with like the employee. We got half price on everything. His employees got half price on our store. So I got all the new kicks and stuff at half price. So
oh, you good money then. Yeah.
That's where all my money went into the dude. The Jewish guy snatched me to the side one day. He was like, yo, I'm taking you to open a bank account, man. Every time I pay you, you come in with a new pair of sneakers, man. So he made me open a bank account when I was young, man, and I started saving some money.
Nah, smart, man. Like, man, it sounds like just people, again, I know, a little more to talk about, but people coming in your life for a reason, man. You know, like you say, the Jewish owner, Mr. Hill, like,
I've definitely been blessed, man. It's one of those things where, man, you realize, man, like, yo, I grew up in a same environment with a lot of people, man, and it's like I always try to help because I know if it wasn't for those people, somebody since the day I was born been looking out for me. Like, I don't know who it's been, like the man upstairs, But like since the day it's not the stuff that I do, man, because I've been in situations where it just doesn't make sense. Why am I the one to get these opportunities? I've known guys that play basketball better than me. I've known guys that have done other things, you know, better than me, but the opportunities seem to come my way. But like you said, man, God always put people in my life that just take me to the next level. And the one thing I can say about myself is I recognize those opportunities. And like you said, like with the 7 o'clock and stuff, like when that stuff happens, man, I don't take it lightly.
Seize them. Yeah,
yeah,
you
exactly.
them.
Yeah, I don't take it lightly, man.
Now, I know you talked about starting and getting out of the lineup a little bit as you learning this game, the fundamentals of it. You know, when does this start to click?
It started to click the summer after my first year in Essex.
Okay.
So first year in Essex, we had Derek Johnson. So I think he's from Orange. Derek Johnson led this nation in scoring. We had a squad, man. We had a squad, but a lot of guys at Essex, it's the story of Essex. A lot of guys would like by Christmas time, the guys would be ineligible.
Yeah,
you know, and then we have like 6 or 7 players on the team. You know what I'm saying? So, but long story short, at Essex, man, with Derek and Sean, I just had like like a basketball boot camp for a year, like seeing basketball at the highest. Derek was the leading scorer in the nation, junior college. Sean was probably the best player in the nation. Like Sean was the man. Like we played Burlington County one day. I give you an example. Derek scored 66. Burlington scored 63. Like, you know, so that's the type of stuff. So after being around that environment for the year and those hard practices and going battling and stuff, that summer going between my freshman and sophomore year at Essex, I had a crazy summer in all the summer leagues. Like, because now my game went from not just running and jumping. Now I knew how to play basketball a little bit. My basketball, like IQ and stuff was higher. And I believe that summer, I won every championship that I played. I won the whole with the team. That I won East Orange program, the Shore. Every league I played in, we won that summer. Okay. And that confidence going into my sophomore year at Essex, it was over, man. Like that's when I knew I could play. And I came back and even to that day, my man Hakeem Salim, who played with us at Essex, he had left. He was going to some school out in Missouri. And he was talking to Mr. Hill that summer, and me and Hawk used to work out together. You know, like every day we go work out and go to the park and put our time. So Hawk went back down to Essex to talk to Mr. Hill and was like, "Yo, what's up with Robinson?" Because Mr. Hill called everybody by their last name. Like, "Yo, what's up with Robinson, man?" And Mr. Hill was like, "I don't even know if he's gonna make the team this year," because you know what he's talking at. Like Hawk was like, "I talked to your boy Coach Hill. He said you might not make the team." I'm like, "All right, we're gonna see, man." And when I went down there for the next year for the tryouts, man. I was just like I knew I could play it in, and then I knew that these guys wasn't as athletic as me, and I just took advantage of it. I just was embarrassing people, man. Yeah, you wasn't rolling the ball to nobody. Nah. I was trying to dunk for the foul line. Like, if you try to trap me, you're gonna get embarrassed. So it was like, but it was like coming from like in Newark, like in the hole and stuff. Like one of the biggest things that happened to me the year, I think that summer when it really clicked to me, we was at Avon one day in the playground. And somebody, I forget who it was now, they came and they was like, "Yo, Eric Williams is the best basketball player in junior college. He's the best big man in junior college." Because at this time, you got to realize, I still have no reference point of like who's good or not. I just know like it was Eric Williams for me was just like the dude down the street. You know, like it's my man, like we bang out. But when you grow up in that type of environment and you have no exposure, and I think it still happens on all levels, you don't have the appreciation for the person, the talent that you're next to, because you see it every day. Is you up close and personal, you don't recognize the talent. You got to be away from it. So a dude came to me and was like in the playground. He had one of them Street and Smith books or something like, "Yo, Eric Williams is the best dude in junior college. All these schools is wanting him. Like, you know, every school in the nation was trying to recruit Eric." And I was like, that ain't true. Like, to me, it got to be somebody better. Like, Eric ain't the best dude. Like, get out of here. I was like, because he ain't that much better than me. Like, I knew, like, yo, I'm not saying I'm on the same level. I know he's bigger than me, but I'm like, yo, I don't got all these schools beating my door down. And then, like, this dude don't embarrass me. Like, we battle. When we play, we battle. But when that clicked, and then when I saw that it was official, that Eric was, like, the man, I was like, oh, I could play basketball. You know, like, I might not be Eric, but, I knew right then, like, it wasn't just my neighborhood. Like, yo, no, there ain't many dudes in this country that can really rock out with me. So that kind of what happened. And also Avon was my man. Avon lived down the hill for me. And to this day, Evan is still one of my good friends, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, man, he would walk past Avon Avenue playground and he'd be like, yo, you'll be out there screaming at people and yelling all the time. And he was like, I'll be walking by like I'm gonna bust this dude ass when I get it. Like, hey, that's what Avon always, but like I would go against him and I'm always dunking on Avon and like we would battle too. Man, Avon is much bigger than me. Mm-hmm. But then when I see Seton Hall like going to the championship game, when I saw seeing my boys playing at a high level and doing these things, that's when it clicked. Like, you might be onto something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. And I wish I would have known how to mess with him. I had him on recently too.
Yeah, I saw that, man.
Yeah, I had him on. But yeah, like you said, knowing you had something here, was Mr. Hill, did he get on you even more because he knew you had something, just wanted to get the best out of you, or he just kind of just let you play your game now?
Yeah, he really he got on me because at this point, man, like high school and stuff always was easy for me. Like in the 4th grade, I was reading and testing in math on the 12th grade reading level and stuff. Like school and stuff was always easy for me. So I graduated high school, and at the time I didn't notice. Like I had no clue about the inner workings of NCAA and all that. So I graduated high school. I had already qualified for Division I. You know, like if somebody knew I could play basketball, I wouldn't have had to go to junior college. Because normally, if people don't know, once you go to junior college, if you hadn't qualified out of high school, now you have to graduate. Like if you don't have if you don't have the SAT scores and all that stuff before you enter junior college, even if your grades are up, you have to get your degree from junior, like your associates. But for me, I learned later on down the line, like I had already qualified. So I'm walking around the school telling everybody, like, yo, I'm going to Division I. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm going. Nobody had went from Essex County to Division I for years, but it wasn't because of like the talent. It was because of the grades and that type of stuff like that went along with it. I'm walking around the school telling everybody, like, I'm going to Division I. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. It was a vending machine. Like in Essex, there's like a little tunnel system that you have to walk across the building to get to the gym. Mm-hmm. And there was a vending machine, and every time I would walk from school to go to practice, for 2 years, the only button I would push in that vending machine was D1. I don't care what was in that spot. That's the only button I pushed. I put my money in and pushed D1 every time. Yeah. So Mr. Hill got wind of it. Like, he pulled us to the meeting room one day and says, we got a dummy walking around the school telling people he's going to Division I. None of you guys are going to Division I, man. Like, you don't got that. So he knew that, and he wrote me because he already knew that what my aspirations were. But he wrote everybody. Yes. But, we became very good friends. I hung out with him, not even off the court. I worked for him, like in the gym and stuff like that. And he became like a father figure and a mentor to me. But he did ride me a lot because he knew I had to learn a lot, and he played a lot of mental games to prepare me for the next level.
Mm-hmm. And even with that, as a team, how do y'all do your sophomore year?
We did good that year too, man. We did good that year. We always, the Essex, man, is always talent. So we always went on. When I was there, I think both years we won 29, 27, 20. We would lose like Morris County was tough at the time. We might lose to Morris County. We would lose like 1 or 2 games, and then, but we could never beat Camden to go to nationals. Camden used to have a squad. Okay. Camden, and we would always meet them in like the regionals, And both of my years we lost to Camden, man. We lost to them 1 year at Essex when Sean and Derek was on the team, and the next year we lost down there at Camden. They had these dudes from Philly, and so we would have like 28, 29 wins. We finished the season like 28-2, 28-7-2 or some 27-3. Mm-hmm. But we never made it. We never made it to nationals because we lost to Camden both years. But it was a learning experience, especially for me. At the second year, I was relied on, and I had to do certain things. It was a different role for me, Mm-hmm. So I started that year off, man, and this is how it really kicked me off. We played my first game the second year, because the first year, like I said, I started, but I didn't play much, and I was learning the game, and I'm coming in off the bench. I'm having I had some games when there was a few good blocks, because I was a natural shot blocker. But the second year, the first game, like I said, I had this great summer. I worked out hard with like all the NBA guys and like Division I guys. Every day I put the time in. First game, I had 27 points, maybe 18 rebounds and 12 block shots. And then from there, I knew it was like,
Yeah.
That was the first game. I'm like, that's when I really got the first year. Like I said, never played high school, none of that. I might have been in the newspaper once the first year because I might have had like a good dunk or block or something. But when I had a huge spread after that first game, they had did a big article on me about, when I was at Essex and I had that huge monster game that first game. That was all the confidence I needed, and I just took off from there.
Yeah. How did the whole recruiting process thing go for you?
So down at Essex, Mr. Hill, man, he's very, very protective. Okay, so he doesn't give you any of your recruiting letters and stuff like that. Like, he holds all your letters. So while the season's going on, you don't have no clue who's recruiting you.
Okay.
So for somehow the only team that I knew was on me was Tuskegee. I don't know how they got my home address. Mm-hmm. And they Tuskegee literally used to send me 36 letters a day. Every day they sent me 36 letters like, yo, we want you. You the man. You this and that. So I'm like, at least I knew I got one school that I could go to. Like I got one school that I could definitely go to. And then, because Mr. Hill will hold your letters. He didn't want you getting a big head. And he just liked to be control of everything. That's just who Mr. Hill was. Mm-hmm. So after the season, what really kicked it off was, I don't know if you know Ed Butler, EKB scouting system.
Yes.
So this was one of Ed Butler's first expos that he put on, first camps that he put on for to display talent. So he invited me to the EKB. And my father took me and some other guys from Essex. My father took it. It was in Elizabeth at the Dunn. And I did what I do, They matched me up against this because I play center. Like, I play inside because I was so athletic. I'm like 6'4", 6'5", but I was so athletic. I played center. Mm-hmm. I played power forward and center my whole career because, like, I didn't know how to play basketball, like dribbling and all that stuff. And I could never really do well at that. I'm just trying to dunk on somebody and block their shots. At Essex, my second year, I averaged 8 blocks a game. Like, that was my average. So led the nation doing that. So at the Elizabeth, they put me at the Ed Butler camp. I started, and they matched me up with some dude from Montclair, I forget at the time. It was like a 6'10" dude from Montclair, Division I prospect. And like the first game, man, I destroyed this dude, man. From the tip, I won the tip. Tip went to we had our point guard, Tariq Hans from Elizabeth, who played with me at Essex. He was at the EKB camp with me. We was on the same team. So I won the tipped it to Hans. We ran down court. He threw me an oop on the first play. And this was probably the proudest moment of my life. So I walk into the all this stuff is new to me. Like, I have no clue about, none of this recruiting, all this stuff. I walk into the Dunn Center. It's like full with a load of these players and like scouts and coaches. My father goes and sits up at the top of this is like one of the only games my father ever came to. He had to drive us there because we had no driver's license. That's why he took us to the camp. Mm-hmm. Father sits up at the top of the bleachers. Off the tip ball, like I said, when they match me up with the 6'10" dude, I tip it to Hans, my man Tariq Hans. He throws me an oop. I dunk so hard on this dude, and I see like a stream of scouts just start running up to my father. And then from there, like, that was like the proudest moment to this day of my life, man. It was like, that's when I knew, like, yo, I just see like a stream of dudes. Like, I didn't even know they knew who my father was, yo. But they obviously watched us come in together. They knew who I was and stuff. Like, I didn't know. It was a life lesson for me too. You never know who's watching.
Yes.
And like, it was like a stream of dudes went to my father, and then I killed the camp there. And then from that day on, man, it's like, my phone at my house wouldn't stop ringing, man. To the point where my mother just told me, because you got to think, we have no exposure to this world. Mm-hmm. She's like, yo, we're just going to put all these hat names in a hat and just pick one. She was like, it's too much. I can't take these calls no more. I can't do this no more.
She ain't pulled a move back in the day with the phone. You just take the phone and just put it on the table. You just put it down.
She did that a couple times. Exactly. At night, man. She would do that too. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then after the EKB camp, we had I'm getting like recruited from everywhere now. Like, cause EKB, like, he really got my name out there. People knew what I could do. I'm getting recruited from everywhere. Mm-hmm. And Ed Butler called me one day. He was like, yo, I know you're getting a lot of scouts and a lot of this and out of that, all these schools. He's like, I got a dude that I know, Jersey guy, coaches at Boston College. He's starting a program up at Buffalo. University of Buffalo, Division I program. They're new to Division I, only been there for 3-4 years, so they're struggling. But they hired, my coach, Tim Cohane, was the associate head coach at Boston College at the time. Yeah. And I think it was with Bill O'Brien. So he was like, he's starting his own program, and he was like, before you make a decision, we had like a Region 19 All-Star game. That's like the region of junior college basketball for Jersey and like, you know, Pennsylvania and stuff. He was like, it was at Rutgers Newark downtown. He was like, before you do anything, like Coach Cohane gonna come see you. He like, that's my man. I told him you at least give him a shot, you know, talk to him. And then he came down. I went to that game, and this guy Donald Osborne that played at Morris County College, and he wound up going to FDU. We was like rivalries, you know. And he happened to be on my team for the All-Star game. I walk into the locker room, I'm like, yo, Osborne, I'm getting the MVP today. Yo, he was like, yo, I'm getting it. And I'm like, yo, my man, we on the same team, but if I got to block your shots, I'm getting the MVP. I'm telling you right now. So I won the MVP of the game. And then Coach Cohane was there with this old beat up station wagon, like tall, like scraggly white dude with an old beat up station wagon. He's like, yo, you know, Ed told you I was coming. We start talking. They're like, I give you a ride home, which I didn't know at the time. Like now I know it's illegal NCAA rules, but he gave me a ride home. And we just talked about life and about basketball and stuff. And he was like, yo, give me a shot. And we clicked. And I signed up to go to a visit to Buffalo. And then that's how I ended up at Buffalo. But it was because I got Wake Forest recruit. I mean, you name the schools, man. Like me and Coach Cohane, Coach Cohane, we hit it off so well. To this day, he's still one of my mentors. Another one of those people that came into my life, man, you know, and then and that's how I ended up at Buffalo. But the only school that I regret, and the reason why I break up Wake Forest, I didn't notice at the time, dude from Wake Forest, I believe the coach's name was I think it was Larry Davis, one of the assistant coaches, scouts, head coaches and scouts. He was recruiting me hard from the EKB camp too. They wanted me to come for a visit. I had scheduled a visit and all that. He was like, yo, we got this dude coming, like you from junior college. We got this dude coming from St. Croix, you know, and we always match up a junior with a freshman. You're a little bit more mature. Y'all could be roommates and stuff. I had no idea it's going to turn out to be Tim Duncan. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If I would have known that, man, it might have been a little bit different going to Buffalo, you know. But like I said, to this day, man, Coach Cohane is like, man, we real cool. He's one of my mentors, man, and I learned so much from him too. So that's how I ended up. That's how the recruiting process kind of panned out.
So was any other schools that you narrowed it down to, or you just knew like after connecting with Coach did that you were going there?
After I connected with him, I know I was going there. Like I said, I did like the dude from Wake Forest. Maryland Eastern Shore, the coach was on me. This dude drove to my house from Maryland Eastern Shore. Cause at the time I'm like a dude that never been on a plane, none of this stuff.
Yes.
He's like, we want you to come down to Maryland Eastern Shore. We'll fly you down. I'm like, no, I'm not flying. I don't know no better. Like, so it's like, I'll come pick you up. He drove to my house, took me down to the school for a visit, and then drove me back. Worst mistake of my life. Because now I'm stuck in the car with this dude for like 6 hours, and he's just running his mouth about Maryland Eastern Shore. But they was in one of the schools. Like I said, Tuskegee was in on me big. I was always leaning towards Tuskegee because they was the first school that camp started recruiting me. And they and at the time, that's when all those HBCU, like the original hoodies and stuff was out with all the colors.
Them joints,
yeah, with the stitches on them, and Tuskegee had a tough one. So I'm like, yo, that's how I'm thinking now, because I don't know no better. Right. I'm going to school for free, play basketball, man. So so those are the couple of schools that I narrowed it. Other schools, like I really didn't pay. I wanted to go to Hawaii, but they didn't recruit me. But that was one of the schools I wanted to go to because it was in Hawaii.
This is Hawaii. yeah,
exactly.
So Hawaii with the sun and beaches. Yeah. You do the complete opposite. You in cold Buffalo.
Yeah, but it's funny how that turned out too, because Coach Cohane, same thing. He was like, yo, Kel, man, I'm from for years. He was like, yo, I'm from Jersey too. Like, you think we're going to be spending our winters in Buffalo and our summers in Jersey? He was like, yo, look at the schedule. We had Hawaii on the schedule. We had Cali. We had Florida. I'm going to do it. Only place I've ever been is South Carolina and Lumber City, Georgia, which is like one of the smallest places you can find in Georgia. When I saw Hawaii, Cali, Florida on the schedule, I was like, yo, sign me up. That's why I went to Buffalo. It was Coach Cohane and the fact that I knew I was going to be able to travel and see the country. Go to other parts. That's really what. And I tell people all like, I saw the schedule. But Coach Cohane, he was smart like that. He knew, like, you can't be Buffalo. Be you can't be recruiting good players to come to Buffalo in the wintertime. But we be the only dudes in Buffalo with tans all winter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you got to think about it like this. This like Buffalo now, we really started the program. Our coach, Coach Cohane, like I said, when I met him, he was driving this old beat up station wagon, transmission like stalling. This dude is worth like $50 million. He made like $50 million on Wall Street. So when he got to Buffalo, he knew how he wanted to build. He was in the Big East for a long time. He knew how to want to build the program. He said he got there, and he said he was like, yo, my guys can't. The locker room's not sufficient. My guys not going to be in this locker room. They was like, well, we don't have the money in the budget. You know, y'all just starting Division I. Y'all ain't showed nothing. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'll pay for it out of my pocket. They was like, yo, you can't just pay for the guys. We can't do that because, you know, women got to be equal. He paid for both out of his pocket. Mm. So that show you what he meant, like how dedicated he was to the program. And with a coach like that, like, man, we just really went all in for him, man. And like, we was in Buffalo, but we were in a Division I, like a Big East type of program, you know, because of him.
Yeah.
We had like meal tables, like we'll practice at 5 o'clock in the morning. We come back to the locker, like our breakfast is there, hot. Somebody's serving us breakfast. Mm-hmm. Before Buffalo was a huge school. Most people don't. It's like at the time I was there, it was like 40,000 students. Our dorms looked like the Prince Street projects. Like literally, our dorms looked like the projects in Prince Street. Okay. We wouldn't stay at the dorms. We would stay for home games. We would stay at a hotel so we can get a good nice. This is like what Big East teams do. Mm-hmm. I don't know that. You know, even the guys in the athletic department at Buffalo didn't know that. But Coach Cohane had us. We did this. We stayed at the top of the top hotels when we went on the road. We scheduled Big East teams. We played Boston College. We played Pitt. We played Miami. You know, so we played a Big East type of schedule. Mm-hmm. And that really, like, you know, he changed the program and stuff, man. So that all of it came. I was at the right. And Coach Hill, before I went to Buffalo, when I was making my decision, and like I'm talking between Wake Forest and Buffalo, like my top two, I talked to Coach Hill about it because he was my mentor. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he was very honest with me. He was like, yo, you can play, you can do this. He was like, yo, man, but you just learning the game. He's like, it's better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. He was like, just think about something to think about. And even when I got to Buffalo, man, it was tough my first year because now you're going from junior college to Division I, you know. Yes. So, but that's how the whole thing went. That's how I wound up at Buffalo, and that's how the recruitment process went.
Now, Buffalo back then, pardon me for not knowing this, were they independent or were they in the conference when you got there, they moved up?
So
was it the MEAC? It wasn't.
No. That's a good question, man. Our first year, we were independent, I believe. Okay. It was something called the East Coast Conference, and it was just like random schools they threw together that was like on like Fordham and
okay.
Stuff like that. Like I forget another school that was what's the school that Speedy Claxton went to? Hofstra, like those types of schools, you know.
Okay.
We was in like that conference with them, but we were, like I said, so Coach Cohane knew that. So, and our conference was like at the time it was like only a few teams, and then so that's why we played like our out of conference schedule was literally we have a week where we Boston College, mm-hmm. Miami, Pitt. Mm-hmm. University of Pennsylvania, Duquesne. Like we played like a schedule that no other small schools could get that schedule because they didn't have a coach that came from that world like Big East, you know. Okay. So that we was in that conference, and then we went to a different conference with I forget the name. Oh, that was when we went to the conference with Valparaiso, and then what's it? Oh, the Mid-Continent Conference the next year. Okay. Because once Coach Cohane got there, like he was already working behind the scenes. So we went from like that small ECAC, then we went to the Mid-Continent. That was like Valparaiso, Chicago State, Illinois State, stuff like that. We was out there with them. And Valparaiso at the time was like they had a crazy team with like Bryce Drew and all them jokers.
Right.
We had Central Connecticut State was in our conference. I remember them because they had a dude, Keith Klaus, that 7'2" dude that broke David Robinson's. Yeah, he broke all of David Robinson's shot block. That's my man now. He broke all of David Robinson's shot block. I think. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So me and him used to go at it because he was always blocking shots. And then like I was like one of the only dudes that would have more block shots in the same game as he would, you know, because I took that as a personal challenge. Like, yo, no, you ain't gonna block more shots than me today. Mm-hmm. And we became good friends. But so we had that second year, the Mid-Continent Conference, we had some good teams. Like Valparaiso was like a tough, it was a school from Missouri. I forget the name of the team, but we had UMKC out in St. Louis. We had some good teams in the conference, and we did well. So the first year, they put it in perspective. Our first year, the year before we got there, Buffalo had been Division I for maybe 4 years before we got there.
Okay.
They had won a total in that 4 years Division I. They had won a total of maybe 7 games in 4 years. The first year we get there, we won 10 games. So wasn't much, but like for somebody, a team that had just won 4 games, 7 games in the last 4 years, we won 10 games. And I never forget we played in this tournament. And it's like up there in Buffalo, it's like I think it's like the Big Four, Little Four or something. They got like, so Buffalo, Canisius, St. Bonaventures, and Niagara. So we played, they have a tournament every year. So we played in the tournament, and everybody, Buffalo is normally getting stomped. The first game we play, we beat Niagara. We beat Niagara the first game. Our coach is running around, our assistant coach is running around. Our whole team was like crazy. Yeah. Jokers are screaming, "There's a new sheriff in town!" Like they running around on the TV camera screaming, "There's a new sheriff in town!" But that's like put everybody on notice. Like, yo, we ain't the same Buffalo no more, you know. So that we really started to turn things around. So we won 10 games our first year, and then our second year, we won. We started off like 4 or 5-0. We came down. I think the first game we came down. We beat Rutgers at the Rack by maybe about 5 or 6 points. We get on the bus to go back to our hotel because nobody thought we was gonna beat Rutgers. Like at the time, like nobody knows Buffalo.
Yes.
The guy. We get on the bus to go back after we beat Rutgers, and we in New Jersey listen to the radio. The radio announcer says, "Buffalo has just beaten Rutgers. I'm going home to kill myself."
Yeah.
So that's how much of a shock that was for us to beat Rutgers. Then we win. We beat somebody, but then, like I said, then we went out to Pitt. This when they had the small gym on their campus. They had Orlando, I forget, or Antigua on the team. They had a nice squad, man. We lose to them at the buzzer on a 3-point shot at the buzzer at their spot. We go up to Boston College. We lose to them. We lose to them at their spot by maybe like 3 or 4, but they go to the Final Four that year. So most of the losses that we had was because we played a lot of tough teams, like out of our kind of sector. But we wound up going that year. We wound up going like 18-10 that year. Okay. And, we would have did better, but I broke my foot like in the right before the end of the season. Like I had when my foot was broke for probably about half of the season. I had a stress fracture, and I knew it was broke, but I didn't tell nobody. You know, I just wanted to keep balling. I put my ankle bracelet. Yeah, kept it on the wraps, iced it and stuff. And then one day in the game, it just snapped and I couldn't play no more, man. But yeah, we went 18-10 that year.
Yeah, y'all just thinking to like the NIT or anything?
Nah, man, we didn't, because at the time, like I said, our conference and stuff didn't have any type of recognition. It was Buffalo. If we was another school or something with some type of history, the year that and if I wouldn't have broke my foot, we would have, because at the time, like at one point in the beginning of the season, now you got to put it into context. I'm like a 6'5" center in Division I. Yes. At one point in the beginning of the season, I was number 8 in the country in rebounding for probably like the first half of the season. Before my foot, like I told you, my foot was broke probably the whole half of the season. I was 8th in the country in rebounding. I was 4th in the country in shot blocking. You know, so, and we had my man, Rasson Young from New Rochelle High School. Everywhere he's ever played, high school, he led the nation in scoring. Like everywhere he's ever played. At the Rucker, like the dude won like 4 or 5 MVPs at the Rucker, went overseas. We had a squad. We had some dudes from Detroit. Like we had a nice squad, man. And but when I broke my foot, I was like the glue to the team. You know, it wasn't like, I'm not saying I was the best player or whatever, but I was like the glue guy, like the Dennis Rodman type, did all the hard work and all that type of stuff, man. And then once I broke my foot, it just wasn't the same. And then we lost to Valparaiso in the tournament. And that's the year that Bryce Drew hit that crazy shot.
That buzzer shot, the one at the buzzer.
That was the same year, exactly.
Now it's crazy because with all that being said, your basketball career doesn't stop.
No, man, because at Buffalo, now, like I said, man, I'm starting to make a name for myself. Even though I'm undersized, people saying like this dude is crazy. The coach, we had kind of like a cheat code at Buffalo because our coach, like I said, he's a Big East guy. Like we just happen to have a Big East guy at Buffalo. Okay. We'll go travel somewhere. Like we went out to play Loyola Marymount in Cali. At the time, I think Villanova was out there or somebody. But Raleigh Massimino came to our practice. His team was out there. Raleigh Massimino came to our practice, gave us a talk. It'll be like all these big time coaches would come and talk. Our coach knew everybody. Mm-hmm. So people would come talk to us. NBA guys would come talk to us. Yeah. Our assistant coach Jalen Rose in high school. Jalen Rose would come talk to us, hang out with us. This was his first year at Denver when he first got to the league. Mm-hmm. Jalen Rose used to come to Buffalo all the time. If we was on a road anywhere by where they were playing, he would come chill with us at the hotel. Mm-hmm. You know, like, so we kind of had like a cheat code, you know. So I'm meeting all these guys, seeing all these guys, and all these guys are telling me, like, yo, you probably could play after basketball. Jalen, I remember having dinner at the coach house one day with Jalen Rose. And he was like, yo, Kel, you probably going to be one of the only dudes that's going to have a career in basketball. He was like, but I'll tell you a secret, man. He was like, enjoy your time now while you playing for fun and while you like in college. He was like, because once you start getting a check, it's different. He was like, because they can tell you something to do that you know is wrong. Like Coach Hill and Coach Gohane taught me the fundamentals of basketball. Mm-hmm. You in Europe or the NBA, jokers say, let your man go baseline. Don't cut off the baseline and try to get, you know, send them this way, send them that way, and you know it's wrong. If you want to get your check, you got to do what they tell you, whether it's wrong or not, you know. And Jalen Rose explained that to me. He was like, yo, once you get out of this, you like enjoy this now because it's gonna be different. And it was true, man. No, like you still love the game of basketball, but you know a coach has no clue what he's doing. But if you want to get your check, you got to do what he tell you to do, you know. So, but yeah, so that's how it happened, man. And I remember one day, our coach at Buffalo, he had like a TV show. Like the local TV station every week, every Monday, like after the games, he had a little show. Mm-hmm. And then one day they interviewed him on the show. Cause like I said, man, I'm like green to all this. Like I'm like still in awe of the dudes on my team. You know, like we got dudes, like I'm amazed that I'm here playing Division I. We got a dude that went to St. Anthony's, Woodrow Williams that played at St. Anthony's. We got my man Rasson, who was my roommate. Like I said, he led New York State all-time leading scorer in high school at one point. Buffalo all-time leading scorer by the time. Like I'm in awe just playing with these dudes. And then one day Coach Gohane was on his show and they just happened to be talking to him and like, yo, this and that about the team. And it came up like, who you think is going to have the best career like after basketball? He was like, Kelvin is probably going to have the best professional career. And that's when it's, you know how like stuff when certain things click, and that's when that clicked like, oh, I could do more after this. And like, and that little nugget right there was when I started really playing harder and think, oh, I could do something after this, you know? So yeah, it just unfolded that way. But it's because the skill set that I had, I'll put it this way. If I had played basketball at an earlier age, like really learned how to dribble and all that type of stuff, I would have definitely made an NBA roster. Mm-hmm. Because the stuff that I could do on a basketball court, even without knowing how to, everybody just can't, like it's stuff that you couldn't teach. The way that I could run and jump and the way I could block shots, man, I could block shots literally in my sleep. Like, It's like, man, it's just a gift. Like it's like my coach from college, man, was taller than me. Coach Gohane was taller than me. One game I had 6 blocks. We playing this team. Might have been Miami or somebody. I had 6 blocks in the first half. Just Division I. We playing against a Big East team. After the game, we lose the game. And the next day, Coach Gohane brings me up to his office. And he was like, yo, Kel, man, I want to show you something. He's like, I couldn't sleep. I had to figure it out. Like, I had to like, yo, how are you blocking all these shots? Like, yo, he was standing next to me. He was like, yo, I'm taller than you. Like, how you blocking all these? But he had taped and he showed me on the tape. He was like, look at your feet and look, it was me and another dude. This dude is like throwing me like 100 head fakes. I'm looking, but he was like, what you doing? You looking at these dudes' feet and you waiting for them to leave the floor. And he's like, you don't even know what you're doing. So I could watch their feet and wait for them to jump and then I could jump after them. And he was like, you got a gift. He was like, most people, if they jumped after somebody, they can't catch him in the air. Like you jump so high and so fast, you can still catch him. And that's like the key. Like, but it was like, it wasn't nothing that I learned. It was just like a natural intrinsic skill. So the stuff like dunking and all that stuff, like it was stuff that I could do. Like I said, man, I played with multiple NBA players and summer league and stuff on the same teams. And they'll look at me sometime amazed at some of the stuff that I could do, you know? So that's what it was. It was my skill set, my athletic ability that really set me apart. And
as you're learning, I mean, again, like you say, never really obviously, you know, watch the game or this and that. But as you start developing, is there anybody you tried to pick up things from, like whether in the pros or college, or did anybody try to emulate or what have you?
One of the best things happened to me, like I said, me and Avant became real close. Once I really started playing ball and stuff and really started like making the circuit, like the, you know, like the summer league circuit, and people started knowing that I could play, Me and Avance became real close. And then Avance invited me out to these workouts. Like years ago, we used to have these workouts out in Somerville, and Hawaii out in Somerville, where Eric Murdoch and all them jokers was from. So we would have workouts out there where it was like Murdoch, Jason Murdoch, Eric Murdoch, their cousin Lance Miller, Avant, Jason Williams, like the tall Jason Williams, like Jay Williams used to come through sometime. Oakley, you never knew who was coming through. Lloyd Daniels would come through.
Okay.
But I mean, every summer, like when I was in my last couple years at Buffalo and like my first few years in Europe, John Celestin, we would be in there, my man. We would be in there like every summer, like religiously, like, and that's where I honed my skills, like just working against these dudes, working against Avant every day, working against Murdoch and them every day. It's like the first day I got there, like Avant knew me, but the other coaches didn't know me. So we playing. This is when Jason Williams was an NBA, was an all-star that year. Okay. It's me and Jason Williams, me and Avant on the same team, and we got a fast break, and Jason Williams is back. And Avant dropped it back to me, and I dunked on this dude so hard, man. He invited me to his house after the dunk. He's like, "Yo, you got to come to my house. We be working out at my house, you know."
Yeah.
But it was like, but just being there and every day. So it was Eric Williams, Avant, the dudes that I grew up at work playing against was like I would hone my game and take stuff from them because I could relate to them, and I knew if it works for them at such a high level, man, like. It just, for me, it clicked better because I knew. And then, like, once I started playing with better talent, like in the summer leagues down the shore, I played with Lawson Ford. We won a championship with, we had Murdoch, Rod Strickland was on his team, Snoop Graham. And it's like playing with the better talent and stuff, like, like Lance Miller and all them jokers. You just learn, like, by osmosis, like being around better talent. It's like certain things you just can't do no more. And so it wasn't like a certain player that Dennis Rodman, I always loved Dennis Rodman because I knew at the time I wasn't going to all of a sudden become a great ball handler. And I wasn't all of a sudden going to become a great 3-point shooter. I knew I could improve my game, but I knew I could work hard, like Rodman, Oakley type, like Ben Wallace type. So those were the guys that I like, they getting a lot out of their talent, and it's not about just trying to score. And they mean so much to their team if they don't score a point. So that's what I kind of really modeled my game after.
Yeah. So obviously you realize, again, the whole pro thing, you hear your coach talking about on the show, everything else here. So what do you do when you're done? I mean, again, do you even try to go to any NBA camps, or you just, take a whole completely another route?
Well, like I said, man, for us, like Buffalo, a lot of NBA guys used to come through just because they knew the coach.
Right.
So Milwaukee Bucks was scouting me hard at one point. But then when they realized, like, because if you saw my stats, like, if you didn't see me play basketball and you just saw, like, the Buffalo games, you see a dude had 18 rebounds and 7 blocks in a game, they would come, like, check me out. And the next thing you know, they see that I was, like, 6'4", 6'5", and it's like, so but my Milwaukee Bucks was on me. And then, but it came to the point where it became clear that I was going to be going to Europe,
Okay.
And then some European teams started scouting me. And one of our coaches from the coach, Tony Jones from Detroit, that coached Jalen Rose in high school, he coached his high school team. They had Jalen Rose, Howard Isley,
Sean Leonard, and all
and all of them on the same team. So he coached them. So his brother, Bill Jones, played at Iowa and played in the NBA. And they hooked me up with Bill's agent, this guy out of Boston, Frank Catapano. And, so then we was having talks. So I knew after basketball, I would play somewhere. And that's how I got my first job going. I went over to London my first year.
Yeah. So from Newark to Buffalo to London, this your first time overseas? I mean, or did you guys go while you was at
No, that was my first time. Buffalo, we traveled domestically. We never traveled internationally. So that was my first time overseas. But like I said, luckily I knew months in advance I was going. So my agent, my coaches and stuff, I had already got my passport ready, all that type of stuff. So went over to London, man, and I get off the plane, and it's just like wide-eyed, and you see the cars on the other side of the road and all this type of stuff. And it was just like, but then you get there, because I was in England, and they're not known for basketball. It's like it was a great starter league, for me, like my first couple years. but like they're not respected in Europe for basketball still to this day. It's a lot of great talent out of there, but they're not respected for basketball. So we get to the gym, and I gym at Buffalo, and this is like a lot of European places. Like the places we stayed at Buffalo, the hotels and the gym and stuff, is like our facilities was better than what I played in the pros. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's like a culture shock, because it's not that dream that you drink, like, yo, I'm a pro, this and that. Like you getting a check, but that don't mean everything else is going to be, or, you know, like top-notch level. You know what I'm saying? But you come to learn, like, as long as my check comes on time and it clears, like, this is what I'm you know, until I started to progress and get better and play in better leagues and stuff, things changed, you know. But so I get off the plane, go to London. But it also shows you how small the world is. I get to first practice that in England. I was with this team called the Hemel and Waffle Royals at the time. Right now they're called the London Lions. They changed their name a couple times. But in practice, we got this dude. He was like, "Yo, was you at the like camp?" It was like the Eastern Invitational camp they used to have. We used to coach down there. Like the college guys used to coach down there. Okay. And one of the young campers had came to the stage to play, and now he was on my team. So it was like everywhere I went, man, I was always blessed to have somebody that I knew, or they had been to my games at Buffalo. Like it was always like a welcoming person that I had some type of connection with. So that kind of helped me out a lot, man, when I first got to London. But it was a good, like, my first year we played, it's called a league called the BBL. It was a good experience, man. I played hard. Some good talent, man. Some great players came through that league. Even like I said, it's not really known, respected for basketball, but I made the All-Star team that year. And to give you an example,
your rookie year, your first year.
Yeah, my rookie year, I made the All-Star team. And Nick Nurse, who coaches Toronto Raptors, was the All-Star, was the coach of the All-Star, because his team won the league, you know, like. So I've been playing against like at the time, Nick Nurse, this dude Bob Dunwall, who coaches, I think he was coaching with the Cleveland for a while and maybe with Golden State. Chris Finch, who coaches Minnesota now, that was playing over. It's like so many people. You have no idea, like, the talent that you're around. Like, same thing, you're around them every day. You know what I'm saying? So Phil Handy was over there. He's one of the coaches with the Lakers. He's like one of the basketball trainers now.
He's a trainer, I think. Yes.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it was a lot of talent in that league. Now that I look back at it, and like it wasn't recognized for basketball, but like it was, once again, it was like a place where I really cut my chops and was able to learn from some very talented people. Like, man, Nick Nurse is like talk a lot of junk, and like we'll be talking, like he coached this team Birmingham at the time, and I talk to everybody. Like when I play, I can't play basketball when I'm quiet. Like I just talk trash to everybody. I would walk into like, if we didn't have no games or something and they had a game, we would go over and see their games. I walk into their gym and they fans would start cheering me just from walking to the gym, because like everybody knew me because I talked so much junk and I played so hard. But me and Nick Nurse used to go at it. And then when you see people develop and other people start going to other leagues, and then like years later, you realize like, no, man, you really, even though that league wasn't known for basketball, it was the place to be to really learn. It was like, once again, it was the perfect situation for me to learn from some of the best and to go through the fire with some of the best players. Yeah.
How was it for you off court, just growing up, you in your 20s, you're a man, like, I mean, like, again, obviously all of us as kids that have our caregivers and parents around, we hope we get enough tools and everything else, because that's what they want us to do, so we can, you know, be on our own here. How was it, you being on your own is across the waters? Like, just how was that?
Yeah, it was always, man, I've always been like a very self-sufficient person, you know, like, so always kept to myself and stuff. So it was like the perfect fit for me, you know, like I could do my own thing. I always find my own way. Like I'll take people advice, but I still gotta go like try it out myself. So but then I was with and when I was in England, I had a guy that lived with a housemate that was on my team. This guy Derek Vogel from Portland, Maine. We were both rookies the same year. So, but it was like, it's funny that you said that. My experience was totally different. He was like so homesick, man, was always talking about his parents. Like late at night, the Joker would come to my room like, yo, Kel, I hear something. I'm like, man, get out of here, man. You know, like, but my experience, like for me, I think I appreciated it a lot better because I never expected it. So it was like, man, I just knew I got to take advantage of this, basketball or not. I was visiting other cities in England. Like I was just looking at it as an opportunity to see the world. And like basketball was like a part of that, and what was the catalyst for that. But like I would travel to other cities in England, like if we had days off, I would make sure I took in the whole experience and just really enjoyed the experience, man. So that's how I look. And but for me, it was like an easy transition because I'm not very high maintenance anyway, and I'm like, I appreciate what I have, man, and being over there, and I just knew, man, even though it wasn't like the dream life that I thought of coming off the, I was going to be, I wasn't NBA status, but I realized, man, I'm playing basketball. Somebody's paying me to play basketball, and I was able to send some money home, and me and my father bought a house, and we got my family out of Newark. So for me, it was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I that was enough for me.
Yeah, no, that's solid, man. And even being in London, your career, it just gets going, man. How many stops? I mean, as far as, you find out it's a business, but also it's a business. It's a foreign business, an international business. So you learning that as well too, as far as the business of basketball, man. So obviously you have your agent to help you do some of this stuff here, but you're pretty much on your own. Ain't like your agent living with you.
Yeah. So played a couple years in England. And then from there, like, like I said, I was a all-star team my first year. And, had a nice little reputation for myself in England, doing the same stuff, leading the league and like rebounding and shot blocking and stuff like that, like top 5. So like shot blocking, I was leading the league. In rebounding, I'd be 2, maybe one year, whatever, for a couple of years. Then I went to Portugal for a little while because I got offered a little bit more money to go to Portugal 1 year. And I went there for like I wanted to change teams in England. I was like on the London Lions, the team they call the London Lions now. So I was on that team, and me and the owner, like the owner was just like he's a good dude, but like his business a little shady, like it's like playing for like Birdman of Cash Money. You know what I'm saying? The dude's a little shady, but he good people, man. But so I wanted to get away from him. And after that, I went to Portugal for a couple months, played in the second division. It was a team in the second division in Portugal, and they wanted to move up. They wanted to because in Europe, it's like a lot of people, it's like relegation, and like it's like soccer. Like if you're in the second division and you win your championship, you don't just get the trophy. You move up to the next level, so everybody gets paid more. The team gets more money. So they will pay Americans a lot of money if they think you can help them move up to the next level. So I went to second division in Portugal for a couple of months, but I was on a team where we were on an island, man. Like literally we were like in the middle of an island in Portugal. We would fly to like the mainland for our games every other weekend. And sometimes people will come to us, and it just wasn't the right fit for me, man. And I wound up, one of the teams that I wanted to pay for in England that I was trying to get onto before that year, they had an opening. Somebody got hurt, and they called me when I was in Portugal, like, yo, you want to come back? We got a spot for you. And I left there at Christmas time and went back to England. So I wound up playing like 4 years. In my first 4 years, like with a little break in between, I was in two in England, and then a little break, and I went back to England for 2 more years. And then from there, I got opportunity to go to one of those summers. There was one of my boys from Buffalo was going to play in a summer league in South Africa. It was like a league for like maybe 3 months or something. It was a summer league. It wasn't like a long league, South Africa. And he was supposed to go with another guy that we knew from Buffalo, but the other guy couldn't go. Like, yo, Kel, you want to go? And I'm like, yo. My mother, everybody's like, yo, don't go to South Africa. Why would you go to South Africa to play bad? And we wasn't making much money, but I'm like, man, it's extra money. It's summertime, like I never been to Africa. Like, yo, sign me up. So we go to South Africa, man. Best thing that ever happened to me. Like, best trip ever been. My favorite place in the world, man. We had a team where they took care of us, man. These guys, man, treated us like NBA players. Anything we wanted or needed, man, they catered to us, man. We living in a nice high. I'm thinking we're gonna get off the coast. We like off the plane in Africa. We're gonna be in this. Like, I've never been out to South Africa. I'm thinking we're gonna be in the jungle somewhere and all that nonsense, man. We in a high-rise building. We got a doorman, and we got a tennis court, swimming pool downstairs.
Y'all out there stunting.
Yeah, we living it up. We ain't paying for nothing either. Like, we got cell phones. We don't got to pay a bill for the cell phone. We could call the States, man. We living it up out. We could literally, in the town that we lived in, we could walk into the store and take stuff like I'm on a basketball team, and then we didn't have to pay for it. We was living it up out there. So South Africa was one of my best experiences, man. And I remember one day, like, me and my man, my boy is from Niagara Falls. He played with me at Buffalo. He's like originally from Niagara Falls. And we out there were like, I got the video camera because at this time I had bought a video. It's like early 90s, like mid 90s. I got a video, like big video camera walking around. And I'm like literally walking around our high-rise building, like video, because I'm like, jokers ain't gonna believe we got this. And it's like in South Africa, they ain't gonna think I'm videoing our building. And the doorman, this big dude, black dude, comes out. And he was like, yo, come here, man. Let me show you something. He's like, videotape this. Joker got a big, beautiful home, man. Fish tank in the wall, you know, everything every amenity you could name. Yeah. He was like, and he's on the camera, like, we got this. We don't live in the jungle. I got this. Joker's like, I speak 10 languages. How many languages you speak? But that taught me another lesson. Like, you can never assume or go by what the media tells you. You just got to go and see stuff for yourself. But South Africa, man, we had an amazing team. We had an amazing year, and made the all-star team out there. Met some good people out there, you know, some real good dudes out there and stuff like that. And it was a good time. So after South Africa, that league, and then I think I got the opportunity to go to France a couple months later.
Yeah. And it's interesting, even you talking the Africa stuff. I was fortunate enough to go this probably a couple of years to Djibouti, Africa. And to your point there, as far as in regards to like, there's civilization. You know what I mean? There's malls, there's things to do. You know, it's not everything.
What part? Where was that at exactly?
Djibouti's on the it's actually on the east coast of Africa, like northeast coast. Yeah, so gotcha. I spent some time out there doing. Ironically, you talk about basketball. On the side, I officiate, but I have this nonprofit that I do as far as around stuff. So we had opportunity to do some training with basketball and like some football.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool, man. Like, so as you mentioned, Africa, folks get it twisted sometimes what the media shows them, and it's not all that there. But back to you, you go to France. I mean, like in total, like how many years were you just international? I mean, you just played overseas here?
In total, I did about 12 years total. 12 years international, man.
It's beautiful.
It was like, man, and like I said, I started off, man, like I worked my way up from one league, like in England, to jumped around. And then when I got to France, I hooked up with a good agent, man. Like same thing. I got to France. I came from France to like my basketball resume was basically like the UK, and like I had a little South Africa in there. And I'm in Paris. And they got these books that once again, it's like second division or something, I believe. But that like the team wants to move up. But they got these like just like they got here, they got these preseason magazines that said like how they rank the team. There's like 15 teams in our league. And they like, yo, this team is going to be terrible. They got an American dude that's coming from England, and nobody ever, you know, England league is not no tough competition, this and that. But yo, France opened my eyes playing in Paris. I play like outside of Paris in this town called Bondy, which is like right outside the city, you know, like suburb of the city or whatever. But it's the hood. When I say it's the hood, man, like stolen cars and like, yo, it's like crazy. So we get there and I'm like so out of shape because like I was living with this girl in Paris for the whole. So I didn't officially sign my contract. I knew I didn't want to go back to England. I had met this girl when I was in England. I used to travel to other countries. Like I went to Paris, like because I was so close. So I'm like, if I go back to the States, I might never come back to Europe. So I'm gonna take an hour train ride or something. I'm gonna go chill and see other countries. So I met this girl in Paris. I was like, I want to move to Paris. I want to play in Paris. But at the time, I didn't have a contract. So I went to Paris for a couple. I found the agent over there, and I was just over there trying out for teams and stuff. But I didn't have a place to consistently play at. So I'm living with this chick the whole summer, chilling, trying out for teams. And my agent finally found me a team. And like I said, with the second, he was like, I can't get you some first division. It's this lower level team, but they want to move up, this and that. Like, yo, they right by Paris. So I went over there, started playing with them, and I'm so out of shape, man. Like, it's terrible. And I was looking at the paper, they saying like, oh, this team's going to be terrible. We don't got no big names on our team. But these guys are like, you could take any guy on my team in Paris, drop them into Newark, Compton, anywhere in the world, it'll be like they grew up. Like that's where they grew up at. Like I never knew it was those type of hoods over there, but that's these guys to this day are like some of my best friends. But we had a team where we just fought so hard, man. We was one of the top teams in the league. We was like, yo, we was like one of the, but it was like, man, we fought so hard and we worked so hard for each other. It was amazing. Like I would get a dunk and like you gotta think about this. Like, we from Newark, we from the States. I'm thinking Paris is a city of lovers, this and that.
Right.
I get a dunk and dudes on my team will jump up and start crip walking. And I'm like on the side, I'm like, like I'm like, we in Paris.
Yeah, where I'm at. Yeah,
Exactly, man. So even in South Africa, we went to South Africa. This dude was like, yo, our first day out there, first weekend, we had a game. We smacked this team. It's a Sunday. We finished the game early. It's like 4:00. Dude, like, we don't go to a party. We come pick y'all up later. We go to a party. We never been to a party in South Africa before. We walk in, all they playing is Tupac, Biggie, Master P. And me and my man look around, but it's like, you just never know, man. The stuff like you see on TV. But like I said, in Paris, man, the team these dudes had heart, like dudes. Like, they're like dudes you could drop off in Newark and they'll be fine. You know, they'll probably have somebody else hustling for them. You know, like, so when you got those type of dudes on your team and y'all are into something together, like, people just couldn't beat us because off of our heart. You know, like, we would play teams. My agent would be like, yo, Kel, I don't know if y'all play this team. They got this guy, they got this big guy, they got this and that. And then we'll always beat them. Like, no matter what happened, like, we were fine. We would always beat them, man. And that was like one of my, so from that year in Paris, playing on that team, and for us being so rated so low in the preseason, and we wound up finishing the season as number 3 in the league.
Okay.
I got a lot of opportunities from other teams in France because they wouldn't. If they see you with a team and they think you can help them, like I said, move up to the next level, then these other teams start throwing money at you, like, yo, we want you to get on our team to help us move up. And then I went to another team up in the north of France. I was there for a couple of years in the north of France, like near the Belgian border, for like 4 years. I got a nice home up there, a nice team. I signed the two-year contracts up there and played there. And we actually moved up. We only won. This was like 3rd division. They paid me good money to play in 3rd division. And then we only lost 1 game that year. When I got there the first day, I called my agent. It was a team that was good. Like, they always been like top, but they could never get over the hump. Okay. Like, they always knew, like, they had a good team. First practice, I called my agent. I was like, yo, we winning the championship. He was like, yo, Kel, I know it's lower division than you used to, but he was like, yo, trust me, it's some good team. Like, don't get too cocky. I was like, it ain't me. I'm like, yo, these dudes could play. Like, yo, trust me, these dudes, like, they could play basketball. They just didn't have that. This was in the north of France, like the countryside. They didn't have that dog in them like the dudes in Paris. Yeah. Now with me on the team, they had a dog. And then I had another Algerian dude on my team, Kareem. And we gave them the confidence that they needed. They wasn't scared no more. And literally, we lost 1 game that year. And the reason we lost that game is because we was at a away game and the referees was not going to let us just beat everybody. That's the only reason we lost that game. Referees was not going to let us win, but we was like stomping people, man. It was boring, man. Like, but like I said, the first day I got there and I saw the talent level that these two. That's the funny thing about life and about sports, man. Sometimes people just need that little push. They just need that, like, the talent is there. They don't have that confidence, man. And people would always. That was probably why I was able to last so much longer than probably guys that had better offensive talent than me. And guys would tell me on my team, they're like, yo, Kel, you the only American on the team that come over here and be like, yo, shoot the ball. I'm telling them, like, yo, if you open, you got to shoot that. Like, don't pass that to me. Like, yo, that's not basketball. Like, I see you hit it every day. And I gave them the confidence to shoot. I'm like, yo, we win. Like, I'm going to get paid. Like, I'm not worried about, I'm going to get my stats regardless. Like, I'm going to run fast. I'm going to jump high. I'm going to get my stuff. But I'm like, yo, I need you to shoot that ball if you open. And they were like, yo, everywhere I went, they're like, you the only American that would tell us to shoot. Like, everybody else is like, give me the ball because they want to put up 40 or 50. I just want to win, man. I know I'm not going to get 50 anyway. I'm not Herman Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to give you 50, but I can help you win. And like, that's where I was really good with chemistry and camaraderie and stuff. And it worked out well for me, but like, and I was blessed to play with some good players, man. So after that,
sound like it.
Yeah, after that, I was in Paris for 1 year, Bondy. Then I was in north of France, this team called Liévin for 4 years actually. And then I went to south of France, this town called La Rochelle, which is one. It's like, man, I'm signing contracts. Even in South Africa, I'm like waking up in the morning, and I'm saying, man, I'm not in the NBA, but what did I do, like, Godfrey? Like, you wake up and you see how beautiful, like, somebody's paying me to live here and to play basketball all day. I saw like, at the Liévin, I'm like on the end of my career. Like, I'm not as athletic and stuff. I'm probably around 33, something like that. And I I get a team. My coach from one of my previous teams went down to this team in the South, and he asked me to come down there, 2-year contract. I went down there for a visit, man. It's like one of the most beautiful places in the world. Sun. It's like the French Riviera type of like living on the beach and I was just like, yo, how blessed can I be to be here? And I went down there for my last 2 years, man. And I was on my last legs. Like I couldn't really jump and stuff no more. So basketball wise, I was out of it. I didn't play great. But the beauty about France is once you sign that contract, they got to pay you. France is one of France got like some great labor laws. So if you sign a contract, even if you can sign a contract with anybody. If the person you didn't like, the company you signed a contract with don't pay you, the government will pay you. Okay. So I was like, I played there 2 years. Like I said, it wasn't my best basketball, but I had a great time living out there.
Nah, and as it was coming to an end, did you think about post basketball while you was doing everything, or you just said I'll figure it out when I'm done?
I started thinking about it, but honestly, to be honest with you, probably was too late. You know, like I was like she said, I think I'll figure it out when I'm done. And at this time of my life, I had been through enough stuff then to recognize somebody was looking out for me, you know, out of my control. So I was like, yo, I don't know what's going to happen, but I've been blessed this far. Like I'm going to continue to be blessed. And then I had some money saved up. Like I've always been, even if I didn't make a lot of money, I've always saved money. I've always been smart with my money and stuff. So I had some money. And if I'm in France, I had a great agent. So he didn't just take you basketball, but he told you how to prepare after. Okay. In France, if you start putting some stuff in the works, like before, if you like, you're going to leave or whatever, about 3-4 months before you get on unemployment, like you got to be there to sign up and all that. I was on unemployment. When I got back to the States, I was on unemployment in France for 2 years. I was getting $3,000 cash a month for 2 years. Yeah. So it's like, yo, you know, like, I'm like, yo, I had money saved up. I got $3,000 coming in every month, you know, so I had time to figure it out and get like, I had no debt because I always bought everything cash. Right. I had already bought a house down in North Carolina. I bought my parents, man. My father had got a house. So I wasn't like in a dire straits. I had some time to like figure stuff out. And then I came home and I figured it out, man.
And figuring out what you want to end up getting into.
So I originally started working. I'm a real quick thinker. Like I'm like my mind. I wanted to be an engineer. Like I can figure stuff. Like I can look at a situation. Yeah, I can look at a situation and kind of say, okay, this goes here, this goes there. So I got back. I'm bounced. I got a house down in Charlotte at the time. I had bought a few years back. So I'm bouncing between Charlotte and Newark, like my parents' house and stuff. And I see this thing at the post office that says it's like 2009, 2010. They were hiring for the U.S. Census. So I'm like, yo, I'm going to get a job at the Census because now I got government on my resume. Like, you know, like, because my resume had nothing but basketball. Like, it's like college and basketball, nothing else on there. And like my job before basketball, you know, I put that on there because that's the only other job I ever had. Right. So I get a job at the Census. Once again, God bless me. The dude that ran the Census group, I was in Plainfield, New Jersey at the time. The group that ran the group was a big basketball fan. But not only was he a big basketball fan, he was a manager, like a top executive at DHL for a long time, but he had just got downsized. So now he got a job at the Census while he was in between jobs. So he loves basketball. He coaches basketball. He was like, yo, Kel, come here. He pulled me out there. Like, Census, you go sign up and every day, orientation. Right. He's like, yo, stay, I want to talk to you. He's like, all right, I'm gonna hook you up. I got you. He was like, I see y'all at the basketball. He's like, yo, I'm gonna make you my assistant manager. He's like, so now on your resume, you're gonna have assistant manager. And then he taught me how to like manage and all that type of stuff. Our Census team that we did that year, we had a big write-up in the Star Ledger that we had the best turnout and we had the best results from the Census team, like in the history of New Jersey. So I did that with this guy. So now I got like U.S. because the Census is actually on your job application. It's like the U.S. Department of like Defense or Commerce or something. So, you know, I got that on my resume. And then I started looking for the guy that I was actually managing. Me, his name was Greg. He actually got a job now working with this other like logistics company in Pennsylvania. And he was going to take me out there with him. And he was like, yo, I got a job. I'm taking you. But I know him now. We've been working together for months. We've been doing good work together. Yeah. So I was going to move out there with him. I got a job. He got me a job, went out there, hired like to actually be a supervisor at this place out there. And the week before I'm supposed to go out there, my father had a heart attack and passed away. So that like devastated my family because it was like unexpected, like that like really like, devastated my family. So I never went out to PA. Like I turned down, like I'd already signed my contract and everything, turned down that job, stayed home with my mom to help her get back, her and my father was together for like, since she could remember.
Yeah, God bless.
So, yeah, man. So I stayed home with my mom to help her get that back. And then just bouncing around little odd end jobs. And one of my friends started working at at Chase Bank. She was working at the bank. And she was like, I got a job at the bank. And they're looking for new people. They're looking for some people to work here or whatever. Do you want to work? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I give it a shot. Like, I got nothing to lose. So I started working at the bank, like at a bank, like just in the branch, like doing stuff. Like, I never forget, man, I'm making like, and like I said, by the grace of God, man, I already had money saved up and I'm still getting money from France. This was 2011, 2012. I'm making like 30,000, 32,000 a year, but I got no expenses, like it's free money. Cause I never, no student loans, no nothing. My car's paid off. My house is paid off, so I got no expenses. I'm doing that. But I remember my ex-girlfriend, I always had a mind where, like I said, I think ahead of time. Before my first day, I'm asking my ex-girlfriend, I'm like, I saw at the bank tomorrow. I'm like, do you think it's too early on my first day to ask my manager, what do I need to do to get to 100,000? Because I was like, I don't want to stay at 30,000 like too long. I want to ask them what I need to do to get to 100. So my mind, just to say my mindset, even going in, I took that job with aspirations. I'm going to do more. So get there. And just from the basketball life lessons that I learned, showing up on time and not doing nothing actually extraordinary. Showing up on time, treating people with respecting other people's time and stuff, working hard. Worked my way up the ladder, got an offer to be a manager at the bank. And then from there, got an offer to do business banking. And then doing business banking, I've been doing business banking for like the last 5-6 years. Now, business banking, I mean like I don't work at the branch anymore. I've got a corporate office, like somebody wants to buy a building. I go out there, I negotiate the loan. Like I just closed a $5 million loan for somebody, $1 million loans. Like I go through the financials, find out and this is stuff like I had no clue what I was doing, man. Like I didn't study this in school or nothing like that. It's just all from like hard work, people liking me, giving me an opportunity, and then just figuring it out as I go. And I've been doing this for the last 6 or 7 years. I'm one of the top bankers in New Jersey. I'm at M&T Bank now. It's like, but honestly, man, I was talking to my manager a couple of days ago. She was asking me, like, what are you doing? Like, how do you do it? I was like, I have no clue how. I just show up every day and work hard. If I don't have a formula, it ain't no great. Like, I'm not smarter than nobody. It's just the life lessons from basketball. Like, I believe I look at life like this. If somebody else can do it, I can do it. I can figure it out. And I just go out and attack it that way. But so that's what I'm doing now. I've been doing business banking for the last few years. And I enjoy doing it.
Nah, good stuff, man. I know I was joking when you jumped on. Obviously, the names pop up. I saw the M&T Bank. I'm like, damn. But the house is in that bank, and is with that bank. I'm like, damn, make sure that mortgage was paid. Yeah, so as soon as I saw that, so I was kind of laughing at myself when I saw that pop up, man. But nah, you kind of might have answered this question, man. As far as even what playing basketball, man, like what is it giving you just that stuck with you to this day? But I think you just answered, you talking about the showing up on time, everything else. I don't know if there's anything else that is might have instilled in you that sticks with you now.
Man, just like the traveling part, it just helped me open my mind to be able to relate with different. And one thing it taught me, man, one thing traveling and basketball has really taught me that I don't think I would have learned like if I stayed in the US. I've met people like at different stages of their life. Like I said, the dudes I met in Paris, I'm talking about dudes that was on my team, like from the hood. They write in movies and one of the dudes is like was in Inglourious Basterds. Like these guys are, you see people start at one level and then you just never know what 5-10 years from now, where that life's going to take them or where your life is going to take you. One of my dudes, I had a young guy, man, and I was in the south of France. Like I said, my last couple of years, I had a young guy. He was on a lower level team than me, an African guy from Cameroon. And we just became friends. He would practice with our team, but he didn't play with us. He played with a team like a couple towns over, but he lived in our town. He would practice with us. So I took him under my wing. I'm like a veteran now, and I'm teaching him like, this is what you got to do. Come to practice every day. Come. If he didn't want to come to, like, even if we didn't have practice, I'd make him come to the weight room. He didn't want to come. I show up at his house and get him. Like, no, we going. Like, we working out today because he had another job at night and all that because he wasn't like a full-time basketball player. This dude works for one of the richest people in the world now in San Tropez. This dude runs everything. Yo, I go to San Tropez every summer, unless it's like the pandemic's the only reason I haven't been in the last 2 years. Okay. This is my man, like my best friend now. And he was like, Kel, you know why I invite you out here every year? He's like, ask my wife. He was like, yo, I want to have this job. The lessons that you taught me about getting up on time and showing on time. He was like, yo, that's what made me. He started out, give you his story. He started out as a limousine driver for this rich family from New York. I'm talking about the dude, billions of dollars family in New York. He started out that limousine driver, just doing stuff right way, coming on time, showing up early. He driving for them. This is like every summer. They only come to San Tropez in the summertime. They kept requesting him from the service, so he drives for them. And then one year, somebody, their estate manager, does something, and it was like, yo, we want you to be the estate manager. The dude was, my man was like, yo, I can't do that. Like, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, he's from Africa. Like, he's like a crazy, like, African Cameroon. This is my man. He was like, I'm just a piece of shit, man. Like, I don't know how to do that, man. Like, I'm just a driver. The dude tells him, like, yeah, but you show up on time. You're a hard worker. And my family trusts you. Like, yo, I know I can trust you. You've been around us long. He's like, yo, I could teach you how to do the job. I can't teach trust.
Right.
This dude now, man, his daughter's daughter will never have to work. Like, he makes so much money and does so well. And man, like, literally, I go to San Tropez. I could go to San Tropez anytime. I don't got to put my hand in my pocket, man. It's like, yo, we out there with the best of the best, living it up.
Yes.
But all of that stuff comes from the same work habits, man. And like I said, if I would have when I met this dude, I didn't know he didn't know this is where his life was going to lead him. Right. But we became friends. I could help him. I could pass something on from, like, Coach Hill passed on his values, his life lessons to me. I passed it on to him, and now he's, it comes full circle. So that's one of the things, like, traveling and stuff has taught me. It's just like, man, be who you are, be the best person you could be. If you can help somebody, help them, no matter what position they are in life, because first of all, you don't know when somebody's going to help you, or you don't know when that person that you helped is going to be in a position that you might. And there's nothing wrong with benefiting from other people. No,
absolutely.
Life is all about relationships, man.
Yes.
Like, everywhere I've been. I was in South Africa. Dude on my team, girlfriend came up to me. It's like, yo, we seen you. It was me and my man from Buffalo. We went to South Africa together. Girl was like, well, I seen y'all playing college. And we in Africa. We're like, when you see us playing college? Like, how you see us? We're like, She was like, my family. I got family in Toronto. We went to Toronto a couple years ago for holidays, and we went to one of the Buffalo games. But who would I ever think that you would meet somebody that in South Africa that's seen you? So that's what basketball and life is just taught me, man. Treat people the right way. Always do the right thing, and, man, never give up, because you just never know how. My man, the dude from, like I told you, that works in San Tropez, his story is like a great story for me, because it's just like, you just never know how. I seen when he was grinding out and working at night and playing basketball, and I seen how his life is now, and it's like, you just never know when things going to turn, man. So those are the type of lessons that I take away from my travels.
Yeah, man. That's it. Like I said, this is beautiful. I can't even think of another word, man, just to think about just your journey. Then obviously you sharing your man's journey and where he's at, man. Like I said, just big world, but it's also small at the same time, man. As Absolutely. Far as I appreciate all this, but if you give me a few more minutes, you got a few minutes for me?
Yeah, anytime, man. I got you.
Cool, man. And obviously seen a few of these, man. Just put you on the spot a little bit, have a little bit of fun here before we part ways here, man. Obviously, being a Jersey guy, you Turnpike or the Parkway?
Turnpike, man.
Turnpike, okay.
I like heading south, man.
Okay. So you good? You can dodge the police, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
They don't really mess with. I'm light skinned. They don't mess with me too much, though.
Also, being from that part of North, Avon Ave or Clinton Ave?
That's a tough one, man. Avon, I gotta roll with Avon, man. Like that's where my bread and butter was at, man. Avon Avenue School, man. So I gotta roll with Avon, but that's a tough one.
All right, test your loyalty on this one here. I'm gonna date you a tad bit. Hamburgers or Universal?
Universals, man, all day. Universals.
Yeah, I know you got that mean discount. Yeah, jealous of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely jealous of you here. Now, as far as basketball here. We talk about basketball. Best game you ever played in your life, man? Was one that sticks out?
That's a good question. So I'll give you the story, man. The team I told you it was a lower level this team that they had good players. The year we won, we only lost one game, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the game that we lost. I was sick. I had strep throat, still played and all that. Young dude jumped like literally. Vince Carter, me, a young African dude, jumped over me, man. It was on an alley-oop. I was like, we was on a fast break, right? I'm sick as a dog. And I see these two like pogo sticks, these two African dudes. It's like the perfect setup. It's almost like a 2-on-1 drill, like you running a drill in practice. I'm back with these two, and I know both of them is high flyers. So I say to myself, I'm gonna grab one of these jokers and just foul him. So this is how I'm thinking. Literally, I try to grab the dude, and I just hear the crowd go crazy. The dude just jumped over me. I didn't realize what happened until I watched it on tape. It's still dudes that be sending it to me, like when they want to be assholes, they send it to me like, yo, remember this dude jumped over you? So
that's not on YouTube. It's not floating around on YouTube.
Nah, that was years ago, so it ain't on there. Okay. You would have to dig to find it. But anyway, so this was like in the playoffs or something. And so in France, like what you do is you play the team once and for the playoffs, and then you have to play them again. Like in our league, you play them again, and then like it's like at the time you didn't go 3 or 4 games; they're going by the score. So let's say if you beat them by 10 points at their place, now they up 10 points. You got to beat if you want to win that series, you got to beat that team by 11 points.
Okay.
We lost by 37 points that game at their spot. They come back to our spot the next week. I'm not sick no more. We killing these dudes, man. Like we up, and it like they got a thing in the stands. They got like this board, the flip board to show like, cause like the score might say 50-50, but we really down 87-50. We got the scoreboard showing us like, no, now y'all down by 30. Now y'all down by 20. We take the lead on these jokers, and I'm having a decent game. Like I'm not sick no more. I done dunked on the dude. I didn't jump over him, but I done got the dude back, dunked on him, blocked the shot. But we were playing so well, and it was one of those things. I never had this feeling before. We were so in sync, man. Like I had tears in my eyes on the court because I've never been so connected with some dudes, man, and like everybody fighting for the same cause. It wasn't like my highest scoring game. It wasn't my highest rebound game or nothing like that. But I remember that game, man, where we were so connected. We took the lead. Like, so it was down by 37 to start the game. We went up by like 2 or 3 points. And then, but we won the game, but we beat them by probably 35. So they still won the little, whatever, championship. But that was like my proudest moment because it showed what we could do. This was a week following after we got blasted, and then, man, but everybody, it was one of those things where I was embarrassed, man. We played so well together. It's one of those feelings, man, when like very rarely you get to feel in your life when everybody's pulling for the same cause. And like literally I had tears in my eyes on the court playing basketball. I never felt like that before or after.
Yeah. Now, is that the team, or would somebody else, another team, be one of the best teams you ever been on?
Best team I've ever been on, I think. One of the best teams I've ever been on, I think, was probably in the UK. Because in the UK, like I said, man, people didn't really respect. Like years ago in Europe, like you could have like 2 Americans, maybe 3. The UK, they didn't care. You could have like 5 Americans. So we had like a team with like 5 American dudes, man. And there was like my man, Eric Burks. It's like dudes that's not like big household names, but you'd be surprised like how many good basketball players there's out there, man. So we had a team in the UK where, man, and then actually what happened afterwards, a lot of the guys from the UK, like I said, that's like a starter league. You get, if you can play, you go from there, you might go to some other leagues and show. A lot of the guys from the UK year later was in France. And then dudes was like in France, and they were like, you play with, y'all was all on the same. I'm like, yeah, that dude was on my team. They were like, y'all was all on the same team. I'm like, yeah. Like, so that was probably one of the best teams that I played on, was like some teams in the UK, because we had teams with like some real good, it was like 5 Americans on the team. And like it's dudes that can play, and everybody was there for a specific reason and had like like a common bond. But yeah, it's probably like the team I played for, Thames Valley. We had a great team, and a team London Lions. We had some good teams. So probably teams in the UK.
Yeah. Essex County or Buffalo?
I got to go with Essex County, man. Coach Hill, man, really impacted my life, and the dudes that now that you think about it, that first year Essex County team too with Derek and Sean Harvey, that might have been one of the most talented. Because like, you don't know Sean Harvey, most people don't, but this dude can go, man. Like he went to Essex, then he went to a Division II school, and he got drafted by the Dallas Mavericks. And when I say he could go, man, so Essex County, man, because I think that's where I learned basketball at. That's where it really started my transition. But Buffalo always will have a special place in my heart too, because of the coach, because of my roommates and stuff like that. So that's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with ECC.
Okay. Now, as far as who's the best player you ever been on the court with?
That's tough, man. That's tough because I've been on the court with some like Rod Strickland, Eric Murdoch, or Nathan Williams, you name them.
Okay.
One of the dudes that really put it on me personally that I really couldn't. Horace Jenkins, like one of the best dudes. Like Elijah Allen, like I got to get my man Lance Jackson, like all these Ira. But one of the dudes that really put it on me that I had it made other people. We was in the Jersey Shore League. The dude was killing me so bad. It made this other dude, when he took him out, the other dude thought he could kill me. Lloyd Daniels. This dude, Lloyd Daniels, Sweet Pea that played for the Spurs, he played for the Knicks and stuff. People don't know how good this is after he got shot and after the cracking on. This dude was giving me the business, man. And it's like, I've never been where I just felt defenseless. Like, and it got to the point where this other dude, they had to take Lloyd out for a little breather. They put somebody else, and this dude started going at me. I started blocking this. I looked at the dude. I'm like, oh, you're not him. I was like, oh, I can play. So like, so I gotta say, man, probably that's the first. I've been on the court with so many good players. Like I can't even begin to, like Al Harrington, you name them, man. Especially in this area, like Oakley. We played all these guys, man. One of the dudes that made my life a lot easier, made me realize how important the point guard position was Rod Strickland.
Yes.
Because when I played with Rod Strickland, like if I would have played with Rod Strickland at a NBA tryout, I would have got signed. Like it's like he's that good. He gives you the ball in the right spot. Exactly. You know what you need to do. He recognizes your stuff. So that's one of the dudes that I really, man, from the point guard position, like one of the dudes I really got a lot of respect for, because he helped me realize how important the point guard is. Yeah. Like I said, I couldn't dribble, man. I'm like, I need somebody to put it at the right spot for me.
And speaking of right spots, what have you? I know you don't had a million of them, but is it one poster that just sticks out that you just caught somebody, and every now and then you be like, damn, I caught that one? Is the one that sticks out?
It was in the UK, and like I say, honestly, man, like I had a lot of them, but it was in the UK, and we was getting blasted this game because my first year with that team was terrible. We was getting blasted, and we playing against another dude from Jersey, Ice Morgan from Elizabeth.
Right.
He was over there playing for Sheffield. So we playing, and we getting blasted, and they got like an ex-NBA player on their team. I forget the dude's name. But long story short, the ball came off. One dude on my team shot the ball, and it came off like a crazy rebound bounce, like outside of the backboard.
Okay.
Like it came off to the left side, but like it was so far, it was even like over the other side of the backboard. To this day, I grabbed it and I dunked on like 3 of them, like a put back dunk. I didn't even realize I dunked the ball. It was like a delayed reaction. I didn't realize I dunked the ball until I got back to half court, and it seemed like everything was slowed down. And I looked around and I see how everybody in the gym was looking at me like I was crazy. Like what just happened? And then Ice Morgan after the game. And then like the funny part was, it was like such a delay. Once sometimes you do stuff you don't even realize. It's just natural. I didn't realize I dunked it. Like I didn't realize I dunked the ball at all. So I was back at half court. I was like in daze. And then once I realized I dunked it, and my team was like running up, and then I started delayed, like jumping up. And I was always messing with me, like, yo, that was crazy. Like, you at half court. This is like it seems like 2 minutes later, but that was like probably one of my. I had a lot of, because I was very athletic and I could dunk, man. But that was one of the things that. It was like an out of body moment. Like you have a few of those like out of body moments where you do something. It's like, my man, if I could do that every day, Oh, if I could tap into that every day, but that was probably one of the best, man.
Nickname Meat. Where's that come from?
My middle name is Demetrius, man. So, nobody calls me Kelvin. Like when my family calls me Kelvin, no, my family doesn't actually. But like my people that know me from school, like if they went to high school with me or something, but like my family called me Meat, not like called me Demetrius, and everybody calls me Meat for sure. So that's where that came from. And then like just playing ball and stuff, man, it just like I got a little buzz around the hood. And like I said, I was always yelling at people and talking junk, so that they get kind of stuck. And then that's how everybody calls me.
You feel you got your just due?
I feel so, man. I feel like I got more than my just due because I got the respect of the dudes that I looked up to. Mm-hmm. Like when I could come on the court, like with Murdoch, Avan, Eric Williams, even Dutney, Al Ray, when these dudes started coming to pick me up from my house to go play with them and go to New York and stuff like that, I'm like, yo, I can play basketball. My man Skeet, I had them do Skeet in June from Avon. They took me under their wing. They taught me. My man Perry taught me how to play basketball. But like I said, when I knew I could play, like everywhere I went, we was playing an EO Pro-Am. We played a team from New York. Mm-hmm. And Mousy had a team. Mousy was one of the big coaches over in New York. Mm-hmm. He asked me to come play with them in New York after the game. Like stuff like that used to happen. And then there was like, yo, every jokers outside the circle might not know, and there's other dudes that might be like, he wasn't all that and all that. But when jokers like, and I'm talking about legitimate Ally Abdul Nabi, Jason Williams, like the legitimate NBA players, when then jokers knew that I could play and they respected me as a player, that's all out. Like, because I started this just to get bragging rights to my friends, so that when I did that, then I was good, man.
Yeah. That's playground. I mean, I was going to give you a couple, but what did you enjoy playing at? I don't know whether it was the Hole or Green Acres. I don't know. Elmwood, New York was.
The Hole was probably, man. The Hole was the best because of atmosphere. Like back in the day, man, when on the Hole,
it was an like, event. It was an event.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you watching above the rim. Like it's like that, man. Jokers. I remember jokers used to be shaking the backboard while you trying to shoot free throws. We had come down there, man, and like I played for Bad Boys. I played for NWA. We had come down there and they got new uniforms and new sneakers for us, like every game. Like that type, like you said, it was an event. And after the games, man, like it's like crowded out there, you chilling, like jokers is coming around acting like they're interviewing you, like with little microphones, and like we had so much fun. So I really enjoyed Branchwood Park too. I played with AC Warriors. We had some games. We went like 2 years out Branchwood where we didn't lose a game. So like, but the Hole was probably my favorite place. But it was so close to my house, I could walk down there. And for me, it was just like, man, to be able to do that in my own neighborhood, like I said, all that stuff for me was like gravy because I never had dreams. Like I would be down in the Hole just a year or 2 years prior to that watching, and nobody knew me. And then now I'm out there performing. Like I would dunk down at the Hole. This is how I started knowing like I was after. Like I would do stuff and guys would come back to me like, yo, they be out there with their video cameras like, yo, dunk on that dude again. I ain't have my camera on. I'm like, yo, I can't just do that. Like it made it look so easy. Like I could just do it anytime I wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That type of stuff was like really meant a lot to me. So the Hole, man, was my favorite spot. And this is just if just the history and the stuff down there, if you could play down, like all people talk about the Rucker and stuff like that. For me, it's the Hole. That's like my spot where.
Yeah, Whole Zoo Crew, all of them.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Best part about being Kelvin Robinson.
Oh man, just right now being able to share and help people. Like man, the lessons that I learned and being grateful, man, for the people that I met, and like right now, like honestly, man, I tell people all the time, man, if I die today, don't cry. Like my man, I've done stuff like that song JT's got, like if I die, don't cry, my nigga, like that type of stuff. Right. It's like, yo, if I die today, like, yo, I've done stuff in this life that I've never dreamed that I would do. Yeah. I take chances all the time. Like I never sit in my house. I don't care what's going on. If I want to do something, I'm going to go try and do it. So the best part about that is because I was able to have those experiences and I can do more of this. I'll be honest with myself. I give back and I try to teach and pass that on. And that's like one of the best feelings. To go from somebody that desperately needed help to being able to help people is like the best feeling, man.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That senior year, Kelvin, This Kelvin, what advice would you give that senior year Kelvin? What advice would you give him?
Senior year at Buffalo or senior year in high school?
High school.
It's a good question, man. I would probably say, I know what I would tell him. I would say, figure out what you want to do with your life outside of basketball. Like figure out, do you want to be an engineer? Figure out, because when I went to Essex County, I was engineering major. When I went to Buffalo, I was engineering major.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed my major because once basketball started and all that, it was too much. And with all the traveling, it was too hard. I changed my major to business. But now looking back on my life, like basketball was something I did. And like me and Avan talk all the time, man. Avan loves basketball. Like he loves it. Like he's watching it. People ask me, did you watch this game? Do you want to play? Like, I don't want to play no basketball. Like it was something that I fell into. I've done it. That part of my life is over. But that engineering part, like I'm still trying to take stuff apart. Like I love that. So if I could give myself some advice, it'll be like, figure out something where you learn that craft. That's what, like, because you have to tap into what's really your passion.
Yes.
So if I could give my advice, I would like, man, basketball is a great tool. Use that tool, but use that to like tap in closer to your passion. Because in life, man, you gotta do, like in the bank now, man. Like I'm blessed, man. I do well. I'm one of the top bankers. I make great money doing it, but I don't enjoy doing it. Like I could do it, but it's not like something I don't wake up in the morning ready to jump out of bed to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what I would say, man. Find your passion and do something. Don't worry about the money. Do something that you're going to be passionate about. And I did that. I did that with basketball for years, but I could have started to think about, after basketball, what's the next step? Because you always have to think a step ahead.
Yeah. Nah, well said, man. And I know you went from putting a transmission, helping your father put a transmission together on the kitchen floor, to wearing his sneakers, to buying your own sneakers, realizing like I can do this on my own, to junior college, to Buffalo, to around the world. Stamps is probably crazy in the passport, man. Like things like a lot of us couldn't even imagine you've done as far as just seeing the world. Obviously, that came from that basketball, but it also came from you. That one summer you just got up 7 o'clock and just rocked and rolled and kind of got to it, and look where it took you. Look where it took you. I mean, but that also, even prior to that, man, just listening to a little bit here, just, what was in you, man, that innate ability just to go get it, whether it was the job with the Jewish owner or whatever the case is to now. Like, this is I'm just thrilled to just listen to this. This is not obviously a traditional walk in life, especially if you want to talk about basketball or sports or what have you. But there's so many life lessons you just spilled here, so many jewels, Kelvin, man. Like I said, I'm just taking back one, just you willing to share this with me, and like I said, and whoever hears this here, hopefully, man, there's a ton of things to take from this here, and I just want to thank you for just spending that time and being willing to offer your life a little glimpse of it, man. Thank you.
Nah, man, I want to thank you. And like I said, man, one of the things, like when Cleon brought this to my attention and told me who you were and what you were doing a few months back, like I said about following your passion, man, like that's what I appreciate about you. Like it was just something that you wanted to do. It wasn't like you wanted to get no glory from it, but it was something you wanted to do when you started doing it. And you see how it's starting to blossom and mushroom. So, man,
yes,
I have nothing but respect for you, man. And I just say, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing a great thing. I watched that JoJo Walters joint, man. And I felt like, man, I wanted to run out there and do something with my life after that, man.
Yeah, no, JoJo wasn't playing. Like I said, to your point, I think I got off that, and I don't know. I think I ran around the city or something. Yeah, but nah. Like JoJo, yourself, everybody else. I mean, like I said, you just don't know. Like as far as like who you're gonna touch or what you're gonna hear from somebody or somebody outside of just seeing, make a headline in the Star Ledger or some type of article here. Like it's more to it. There's more to
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
What I mean?
We all have a story.
Absolutely, and that's why like it's just been great to just kind of just hear everybody, and like I said, and I'm appreciative that you added on to this.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. If I could ever help you, man, anybody you trying to contact, stuff like that, man, let me know if I can help you in any way, because I really do appreciate what you're doing. And like, not only that what you're doing, is the fact that you're doing something you enjoy doing.
Yes.
That's what I really respect, man.
Yes. Nah, thank you, man, and be well, you and your family.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Have a
No
good evening.
doubt. No doubt.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
This thing, dreams and stories and life's made of, man. You just never know where your life's gonna take you, whether it's the stick to itness or just, while it's not your traditional path as far as to get somewhere, but you stay the course and you see where it takes you. And, Kelvin, man, this thing that took him around the world and, great man, solid, solid. I really appreciate this time that I have with him. With that said though, I'm gonna slide out. I'll put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.